Morning, Paul. Deadstruck Empire.
All right, kids, as we approach.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller.
Good morning, top of the morning to you. Welcome, Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks so much for joining us on this Monday morning. The magic numbers, they are dwindling. Just a mere 12 days away from the beginning of college football, 23 days, 3 weeks Wednesday from the start of the National Football League season. Everyone has a preseason game under their belt, so you either think your team's winning the Super Bowl or you're in complete panic over meaningless football. Good morning, Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much again for joining us. Trent Bally sitting in the co-pilot seat this morning. Trent, how are you this morning?
I'm fantastic. My brother's going to be in town all week, so that's always a blast. Spending some much-needed time with the family before my mom goes back to school next week. She's a kindergarten teacher. But I got to tell you, Mark, it's kind of funny being here at home. Our AC is broken. It's getting fixed tomorrow. So if you see me dabbing my forehead, that is the reason. I am sweating my you-know-what off, and I'm in the basement trying to get as cool as possible. And you Florida people would probably laugh, but it's 80 degrees. It's 80 degrees in the house right now, and I'm sweating.
Wow, I honestly, I feel for you because believe it or not, Trent, we have 2 AC units in our house, and our downstairs one is not working correctly. So the wife slept upstairs and abandoned me last night because she won't sleep without it being very cold. So, which is good and bad. Good in that, one, I get the whole bed to myself. It's also good I get to watch television in bed, which my wife doesn't allow me to do. So, I like my wife sleeping next to me, but I got to be honest with you. This morning when I get up and I can play music in the shower, I can turn all the lights on when I get up. I'm not using the ambient light of my phone to walk through rooms without fear of waking anybody. There's a positive there. But Trent, hold on. I got to back up a little bit. You said a couple of things right off the hop. Much needed break, really need to get home. Trent, just curious. This summer, I know for a fact you went for whether a long weekend or a week, and it's August 17th. So some point in June or July, and I think July, but I could be wrong, didn't you take a family vacation?
Yeah, we did a weekend up north camping, but I'm just saying I love, my family's very close. So, usually once a month we try to all get together. Obviously with my little brother living in Nashville, it's a little bit tougher to get him up here, and he's the one that's up here right now. So that's what I meant by that.
You are taking the whole week in Grand Rapids.
Maybe not the entire week, but a couple days at least.
Boy, I tell you, this whole remote working thing, apparently Trent's got this down because it is so, this is, the middle child's got to get home for a week and get some time with you. You heard him. Yeah, the brother. but I really get to spend time with Mom. So,
Yeah.
David,
You got
self-proclaimed
it.
mama's boy, Trent is in the running based on his earlier statements. It was an interesting weekend in baseball in that it seemingly everybody that was supposed to win to help themselves, well, they lost, and they lost a lot. I mean, obviously, some of those teams had to win, but the Yankees avoid getting swept, and they only pick up a game on the Rays, who were swept over the weekend. The Red Sox, they lost a bunch. They finally picked one up too, but they've won 3 of their last 10. The Orioles, who were the benefactor of taking it to the Rays, now right back in the race. The White Sox looked at Detroit and said bye-bye. They swept the Tigers over the weekend, and the AL West is probably where it's as messed up as anything, because even the Mariners now, who are 7 games below 500, are only 4 back of the Astros that are a game above 500 after losing yesterday. The National League, the Dodgers aren't playing great. They lost 3 or 4 to the Brewers. The Brewers are up 5 on the Cubs. The Braves have a pretty clean hold. But the wild card, the Marlins, with a good weekend, the Marlins got themselves to within 3 of the Padres. But in the American League, just to give you an idea how bad it is, the Orioles right now are the playoff team, the final playoff team in baseball, at least in the American League. And I say baseball because they're 2 games below 500. The Rangers, Blue Jays, Tigers, Twins, Guardians, and Mariners are all within 2.5 of the wild card. You heard me say that right, because the Mariners are 7 games below 500 and just 2.5 back in the wild card. Like I said, Tampa had a rough weekend, but because so the Yankees did as well, and the Red Sox did as well, they didn't lose much ground on their stranglehold on the East. In fact, the Rays now at 74-49, that's 123. So 39 games left for the Rays and a 5.5 game cushion over the New York Yankees in the division. The National League teams all still distancing themselves, particularly Milwaukee with their really good weekend, got it back up to 5 on Chicago. Someone will make it as an American League wild card. It is looking now like a team below 500, that the NFC South could be the final AL wild card. And you just don't think of that and how poor the play's been this year. So fascinating weekend in the East. The White Sox did probably the biggest thing by going to Detroit and sweeping the Tigers. So, by the way, Trent, they now, in my opinion, are not going to get the division. Can they make the wild card? Perhaps. We shall see. But that's a little rundown in baseball. Football, a lot of preseason, Trent, this weekend. I know you probably watched a little bit. I didn't watch more than a couple of plays on Thursday night, and that was about it for my wild card watching. I think the good news out of it, there were a couple injuries, and we'll get to those in the starting 5. But here we are through a couple weeks of camp, and everybody's had a preseason game, and we've had injuries, but it's slowed down. That's all I pay attention to this year. And, the Lions lost a couple weeks ago. The Dolphins lost a depth guy in their offensive line over the weekend. The Bucs are a little banged up, so some guys didn't play. The Jags didn't lose anybody. That's all I'm paying attention to right now. What was your biggest takeaway from the weekend, Trent?
Well, I'm like you. I didn't watch a whole lot. I usually watch my team and then another random game, but the Lions don't play till Saturday again. So I tuned in and watched the Vikings because Kyler Murray got the start, and he only threw 3 passes, completed 2 of them. So I didn't learn much. And it's not like I was going to learn much anyways, but I'm with you, Mark. Really, I just look for the headlines and who's getting hurt, because that's all, at the end of the day, that's all the preseason really is for, is just staying healthy and getting reps for 4 or 5 guys to see who gets those 4 or 5 roster spots. That's really all we're working with.
But perhaps the biggest story of the weekend came way off the field. And it is, at 83, this is what happens. But Tommy John passed away on Saturday. And Tommy John is not in the Hall of Fame. And I don't know if necessarily he should be. But it is a fascinating career, because Tommy John not only pitched in 700 career starts. Now, that in and of itself, to me, is something to just step back and think. But he started 382 games after having a surgery on his elbow that at that time was groundbreaking. Obviously, everybody knows what I'm talking about now. It's Tommy John surgery. But he had his UCL ligament. He had a torn UCL. And Dr. Frank Jobe was the orthopedic surgeon who did the surgery. The surgery was in September of 1974, considered completely revolutionary at the time, obviously. He was an all-star. He played 2.5 years with the Dodgers at that point. Returned in 76 and would pitch until 1989. Retired at the age of 46. 288 and 231. I think there's only, with 288, that's really close. I think there's a couple of guys that have less wins than that get in. But certainly Tommy John, who passed Saturday in Bradenton here in Florida, pitched and now is maybe responsible because of that surgery. We don't even think twice. In fact, pitchers now are of their, I don't know if opinion's the right word, but there are pitchers now that they don't hesitate. Most of them that, you need Tommy John? Great, go get it. You may be better off after. And the fact that he did that and had a 26-year career, most of it after the surgery, is quite astonishing. So I wanted to recognize Tommy John. The Yankees issued a state pitch for the Yanks, pitched for the Dodgers, pitched for damn near everybody because he pitched a lot of years.
If you wanted to make the case for his Hall of Fame worthiness, you would say what you just said, his longevity, the 700 games pitched. And then, I'm not saying this is the right way to think, but some people do. You can't tell the story of baseball without Tommy John because it's so revolutionary now. And you're right, Mark, if it's a coin flip of whether or not the young pitchers should have it done, they get it done right away, as soon as they can.
And longevity is not something for me to think Hall of Fame. Longevity is impressive, and you make a lot of money, and certain guys can stick around, but that's not my prerequisite for a Hall. So I don't know. The 288 wins seem like that's good. The most he ever received was 31% of the vote. So he was never close to being a Hall of Famer. But to Trent's point, it's pretty difficult to tell the story of the game of baseball without one Tommy John, and certainly wanted to recognize his accomplishments on the field and his heart of the game that will forever obviously have his name attached to it. We begin our dive into the NFC East today. We will start with the Eagles and work our way through that division. Anthony Gargano will join us at 8 o'clock to talk about not only the Philadelphia Eagles, but we'll probably jump into a little Phillies and a little Sixers as well, because Philadelphia's had a hell of a summer with the Phillies kind of turning it around, and they're a playoff team barely and fighting for that last wild card spot now after having a great run, firing their manager and Mattingly coming on and seeing what's happening there. Obviously, LeBron with the Sixers and the Philadelphia Eagles, who are one of the favorites, obviously, to win their division, but certainly one of the favorites to represent the NFC in the East. I was able to see something that you don't see every day over the weekend. We'll get to that next. The starting five, 25 minutes away. Magic numbers. Wow, they are dwindling. 12 and 23. Wonder if you know who any 23s are. We'll get to that in the 7 o'clock hour as well. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Trent Bally sitting in the co-pilot seat. Thanks for starting your week off with us.
The Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit SleepTreatmentDirect.com. That's SleepTreatmentDirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
If you're a business who targets men, please know there is no better and more economical way to reach your target audience than us at Miller and Moulton. So let us help you make money. You can reach out to Mark at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton on X or text us at 21,000. We have a proven product, a good reputation, and lots of quality segments that we can attach your company's name to. Miller and Moulton, we're like that old pizza box. You've had the rest. Now try the best. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I just realized I started a failed marriage 30 years ago today. Like, what is August 17th? Oh, yeah.
That date sticks out for some reason.
Couldn't figure out what it was. Then it hit me. Well done, Javier. Way to eat your way through Nashville.
Awesome.
Oh, hey, there's no doubt. I'm not looking at it with any bitterness. Without that, I don't get my kid. So I don't have any. I have no bitterness towards it. It's not my nature anymore. There's no sense.
Oh, Paula, I can't even imagine. That's wild.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks so much for listening. We'll get a poll question up here shortly. We'll talk some Eagles later on in the show today with Anthony Gargano. He'll join us at 8 o'clock. Struck out everywhere else on guests. So that's just the way it is. These things happen. In fact, I think Anthony's at 8:38. Even though I posted 8, and that's on me, it definitely is 8:38. So 8:38, not 8 o'clock. I'll fix that and resend that out. But so I've been a buddy of mine that I play golf with. I play golf with a group of guys. There are in the summer anywhere from 16 to 20 of us. And when season comes around, we kind of split into two groups, and we kind of joke around that it's the varsity and the JV. I'm a member of the JV. I've been a member of the varsity. I was demoted for personal reasons. I'm not good enough to play with the low single-digit handicappers, and I don't feel like just handing them my money each week. But in the summertime, people go back north, so we kind of combine the two, and we play on Wednesdays and Fridays. And it's been my routine probably since I joined this place. And I've met some really good people. Some I like more than others, obviously. And some like me probably more than others. And a lot of them probably like me less than others. That's the way that it goes. But one of the guys about a month or so ago said, hey, who wants to play Saturday? And he just asked a few of us. We're all about the same skill level. And there are right now 5 of us. And one kind of sits out. So we play a foursome on Saturdays. And we play, a COD game, they call it. Cards, opposites, drivers. So a little $5 6-hole Nassau. Nothing too heavy. Just a fun day out on the golf course. And we were playing on Saturday, and one of the guys playing, Shannon Steele, who I play in tournaments with, one of my best friends at the course, he is on the 17th hole, and he lets it rip. And as soon as he hit the ball, Mike Finolio, who kind of sets up our group, goes, go in. And it lands on the green. He yells, go in again. And damned if the thing didn't roll in the hole, and he made it ace.
Awesome.
I've only seen 2. I saw one when I was little. I was on the next tee, and I saw it roll in. But I've only been in a group twice when someone's hit a hole in one. I've never had one. I've literally been playing golf on and off since I was about 4. So 52 years of golf, about to be 53 years of golf. I've never had an ace. I've blown the back of the hole out, and it didn't stay down. I've come close, but I've got none. And for this guy, it was his 4th. He hadn't had one in over a dozen years, I think it was. But I've got to say, the expression on his face when he turned and it went in, because the ball would not have gone more than 4 inches past the hole. It was perfect distance. It was obviously the perfect direction, all that kind of stuff. And it just fell in the hole like a putt. And he turned around with this look of disbelief that I'll remember for it. And so that was kind of cool. And for him, it was summertime and it was a Saturday, and the clubhouse wasn't very full. So he got out of it with about, I think he bought maybe 10, 15 drinks. And that's a lot better. You do it during the season, you can get hit hard on that one. So congratulations to Shannon for an ace. That made my Saturday. I think it made all of ours to see that. And it wasn't fluky. It was a perfect golf shot. So that was pretty cool. The last time I had seen one at the course, I was playing with three guys who, apparently are too old or can't see, because not one of them saw it go in the hole. And I'm like, you made it, Jim. And he didn't believe me. And so that's the second one I've seen since I've joined this course. One was on 5 with the group a few years back, and then on 17. So that made our Saturday. That was a lot of fun to be a part of that. And the good news is that it only halved the match, and we won 18 and took his money. So not only did he have to buy all the drinks for having a hole-in-one, he had to pay me money because he lost the bet. So it was that I was able to give a little bit. I think it was about 150. I think it was 156. He hit a 7-iron. And on top of it, I went next and hit it to about 12 feet. The other guy, because one guy plays the white tees, 3 of us play the blues. The other guy that played the blue tees, John Goins, he hit it to about 8 feet. And the other guy hit it on the green, made a good leg putt, made 3. I knocked in my birdie. Goins missed his. But for the foursome, we had a total of 9 shots on the par 3, which is not as impressive as the ace, but it's pretty solid that we were all able to get out of there and play the whole 3 under par. So that was my Saturday. That made for a good day. And then into the evening, went over. I did something else on Saturday I haven't done in forever. Got invited to a friend of mine's house down the road here in the neighborhood, and he had hanging out with the young dads. Our kids know each other, but I'm the old dad. And we watched UFC. And I haven't seen a UFC fight in forever, and I'm still good. I'm okay. You guys can have your UFC. It's not. I get it. I like my violence. I like when a guy gets knocked out. I think it's better than it. I've said this before. When it was a lot more of the ground and pound, I didn't enjoy it. There's a lot more action than there used to be, but it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I would throw it in with F1, or it's very niche, but the people that love it. They go insane for it. And the UFC, at least from the outside looking in, I think they seem to have a pretty good business model. They seem to have pretty good marketing. Otherwise, they wouldn't still be standing with all the well-known fighters that they have. And ironically, I couldn't name one. But you understand what I'm saying. The people that love it absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, look at he's got a great business model, Dana White, and I don't know if the fighters get paid nearly what they should. He gets paid a lot of money.
He sure does.
It gives me, and I'm not saying, because I know wrestling's not a sport. It gives me more of a feel of WWE, and that there's one guy in control and he's determining what everybody gets paid. So that's and it's not really an issue. That's just the way I see it. I don't think these guys nearly make the bank. It's amazing how small boxing is in the sports world, and yet the big boxers still demand huge paydays compared to the big UFC fighters. When Canelo fights, he gets big money, but there aren't many of them, and boxing certainly isn't what it once was. And I'm a big boxing fan. Maybe that's why I don't like UFC the way some of you do, but caught a little of that on Saturday night. That's the most UFC I've probably watched in 5 years. I'm good. I can go another 5 without seeing a fight, but always good to be able to hang out. And we were supposed to play cards. I think I'd have rather played cards than watch UFC. But these, as we get older, those younger than us don't do a lot of the things that we did. My one buddy who he's like, what happened to cards? I thought we were playing cards. It never happened. All right, Eagles talk today. We'll get into a little college football as well. We'll keep you updated on where we are in baseball with the playoff races going hard. And after all of the losing over the weekend, good news for the Yankees, and I don't know how good it is. Judge, literally they're excited because Judge is playing catch. I don't know how long it takes you to go from playing catch to getting back on the field. But Bellinger, he's starting to get closer in his rehab. So can the Yankees get a few healthy bodies And between now and then, can Tampa put them away? And that's where you are. Having the Orioles in town, thought that the Rays could take care of business. Just the opposite. The Orioles are now in a playoff race in the wild card with seemingly everybody else in the American League right now, because no one wants to take a hold of the West. No one wants to take a hold of the wild card. Tampa, Boston, New York Yankees, they're all in. The National League, the Marlins had a nice weekend. They can see it, but it's a little bit further off when you come to the bulk of teams in the National League that are trying to vie for a wild card, because as many that are close in the AL, the Marlins are only chasing 2 teams. The Diamondbacks are a game back, and the Marlins are 3. We'll get to all of that in the starting fives, the magic numbers, 12 and 23. Don't know if you've heard of any good 23 players. We'll get to that coming up in a little bit as well. And Anthony Gargano to talk about the Eagles and some Philly sports in the 8 o'clock hour. The starting five, that's what we'll do next. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks so much for starting your week off with us. The National Football League season, 2 weeks and 2 days away.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
If you're a business who targets men, please know there is no better and more economical way to reach your target audience than us at Miller & Moulton. So let us help you make money. You can reach out to Mark at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton on X, or text us at 21,000. We have a proven product, a good reputation, and lots of quality segments that we can attach your company's name to. Miller & Moulton, we're like that old pizza box. You've had the rest. Now try the best. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Javier, great start. I mean, you know as well as anybody, one game does not make a career, because right now it's fascinating because I think baseball's got so many good players. I play at Estero Country Club, Brown Chicken. Used to be the Vines back in the day.
All right, kids, as we approach the
There's
17th green, you will see two really nice shots on the green. There's one right there. It's a yellow ball. There's another yellow ball. Those are all within about 12 feet. However, even if we both made those putts, we are flat out completely screwed because one Shannon Steele had himself an ace.
That's awesome.
There's our little ace with some play-by-play. Funny thing was, he had to go to his 2-year-old grandson's birthday party, and literally right before that hole, his wife sent him a text, "Hey, no dilly-dallying, we got to get to this party." And I said, "Just send the video back." And he did. He said, "There will be dillying and there will be dallying."
That's a boss move.
And after he knocked down 2 huge tequilas, I'm sure that birthday party was lots of fun. Because it wasn't just family; it was the whole
shebang.
the whole daycare friends or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, it was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Anytime someone gets an ace, that's so cool.
Back in April, I played Top of the Rock in Missouri. Have you heard of it?
No.
It's a Tiger Woods designed the course, whatever.
Oh, okay.
And when you finish 18, there's like a hole-in-one. Like, it's just there's the tee box, then there's water and these waterfalls. It's beautiful. And then there's the green. And if you get a hole-in-one, you get to play another round for free. So everyone gets one shot, after you finish your round. That was pretty cool, I thought. None of us got one, obviously, but Mom and Dad each. Wow. What are the odds of that?
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Anthony Gargano will join us at 8:38. Talking some Eagles and some Philly sports. So now then, it's me and Trent. And what we do right now, of course, is
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
Well, Tampa got whooped up on by Baltimore over the weekend. Colton Cowser, Jackson Holiday, Kristen Acarcion-Strand all drove in a combined 7 runs in the 6th inning. And Baltimore takes down Tampa 10-2. Pete Alonso doubled in 2 runs, walked twice, and was hit by a pitch. As the Orioles won for the 3rd time of the weekend and their 5th straight against Tampa, Baltimore has a half-game lead for the wild card spot. Tampa still leads the Yankees by 5.5. The Marlins scored 7 times in the final 2 innings to take the rubber match of their series against Cincinnati. Red starter Nick Lodano held the Miami Marlins scoreless through 5. Yuri Perez went 6 for the Marlins, limited the Reds to 2 hits. But with a 2-1 lead after 8, the Marlins broke open the game and went on to win 7-1. Pittsburgh takes down the Red Sox 8-3. Nick Yorke had 3 RBIs while playing in his first game in 3 months. Brian Reynolds and Brandon Lowe each drove in 2 as the Pirates got the 8-3 win. 2.5-hour rain delay in the game. By the way, Skeens skipped in his last start. His velo was down, everybody. If your velo's down, they may prevent you from starting. Yanks in 10 take down Toronto. Ben Rice, a 2-run home run in the 10th as the Yanks avoid the sweep. His 33rd of the year for Rice. Murakami hit a go-ahead 2-run homer in the 7th inning, and the White Sox swept the Tigers, his 28th of the season, as the White Sox rallied from a 4-1 deficit to get the win. Chicago swept Detroit in Detroit for the first time since 2022. Atlanta takes it over Arizona 5-3 the final. Matt Olson hit the tie-breaking 3-run home run in the 7th. That was the difference as he hit his 36th of the season in his MLB leading 66th extra base hit. You know, if someone would have told the Mets that the season started back in late March, maybe it would have worked out for them because they thought the season started in August, and they've been playing much better. Luis Torrens hit a go-ahead 2-run homer in the 4th, and the Mets, since the trade deadline, have been terrific. They swept the Nats 4-3. They've won 9 of 12 since getting rid of most of their players on August 3rd. The Mets are now within 3.5 of the Nats. They haven't finished in last in the division since 2003. San Diego, a 5-3 win over Cleveland. Luis Renfroe and Gavin Sheets, back-to-back home runs. Casey Mize had 6 strong innings. Mize allowed 3 hits and a walk on 3 strikeouts, his 3rd start since being acquired to San Diego from the Tigers. Philadelphia, a 7-4 win over Minnesota. Brian De La Cruz hit a 2-out, 2-run, go-ahead single in the 8th. And Philly rallied for a 7-5 win Sunday afternoon in Minneapolis. Alex Bohm went 2 for 4 with a home run and 4 RBIs. As they complete the 3-game sweep, Luis Ariz also drove in a run in the win. Phillies closer Johan Duran held off his former team in the 9th to earn his 26th save. St. Louis, an 11-5 win over the Cubs. That kid Diaz, two days ago, had 3 home runs in his debut. That never happened before. Yesterday, Alec Burleson and Jordan Walker both had 3 hits, a home run, and 4 RBIs each. J.J. Weatherholt, Blaze Jordan, and Ivan Herrera also drove in a run apiece. 19 runs in the final 2 games of the series. Hunter Dobbins went 5, which helped the Cardinals to their 4th win in 5 tries. The Athletics take down Texas 5-2. Zach Geloff's 2-run homer in the 7th, the difference. Colorado beat San Francisco 13-7. The bottom 2 hitters, Adderall Amador and Brett Sullivan, had 3 home runs between the 2 of them. Kansas City 3-0 over the LA Angels. They have to play the game because it's on the schedule. Milwaukee 6-2 over the Dodgers. Jake Bauers, a pair of RBI hits. Logan Henderson went 7 strong. And the Brewers take 3 of 4 from the Dodgers on the road and win the season series 4-3. Something to keep in mind if indeed they meet in the postseason and were to have the same record, because it's very close in the National League. Cal Raleigh homered for the first time in 2 weeks. Brian Wu had a quality start, and the Mariners defeat the Astros in the rubber game of their series. Raleigh had a home run in the top of the 6th inning, solo with 2 outs to give the Mariners a 3-1 lead. It would be enough with his 13th of the season. Mentioned it in the open. Tommy John, whose elbow surgery saved countless pitchers' careers. When it resurrected his own in the mid-70s, he died on Saturday night. He was 83 years old. 288 and 231 and a 3.34 earned run average across 26 seasons with 6 teams. His 700 career starts, second to Steve Carlton among left-handers. He retired at the age of 46. Football news. Backup offensive lineman Jamare Saylor was placed on the season-ending injured reserve for the Dolphins. Probably wasn't going to be a starter, but depth at multiple positions, so this is a big loss for Miami. Last night, we found out that Von Miller signed a 1-year deal with the Dallas Cowboys. San Francisco tight end George Kittle said yesterday he is nearing a return to practice from a torn Achilles and hopes to be ready for the season opener on September 10th when the Rams play in Australia. Jamal Adams, veteran safety for the Vikings, is going to miss the 2026 season. He was injured in the second quarter of the preseason's opener against the Giants. Marcus Mariota sprained his MCL in the preseason win over Miami. Probably done for the rest of preseason. Jeremiah Love, done for the rest of preseason, probably as well. The Arizona rookie running back, high ankle sprain. Don't want to see that out of a rookie. College football. Kurt Cignetti talked over the weekend, and boy, I love it when he talks. After canceling a series with Notre Dame, he says he'd have no problem playing Notre Dame, and I quote, "They ought to come to our place twice, and we'll go up there once since they're not in a conference."
Do you think he would have said that if they hadn't won the Natty? Because I don't. I know Kurt Cignetti does like to, stick his chest out, and that's fine because that's the type of guy he is. But he has so much more bravado this offseason because of that.
Well, I think he would have said it anyhow. I don't think it's a good look when you cancel a series with the team and then say, "Well, we'll do it if you give us a 2-for-1." But I put it this way: I love every time he talks. Canes running back Jordan Lyle was arrested late last week for aggravated fleeing or eluding of law enforcement. The 20-year-old faces a misdemeanor as well of reckless driving. Was he playing for Georgia? PGA Tour, Scotty Scheffler. What, he has 61 over the weekend and then shot a final round 66. 8 shots ahead of Siwoo Kim. It's his second win of the year, but his first in 7 months. It's the longest he's gone between victories since 2023.
And he's had plenty of runner-ups in that span, too. So, I know he had...
Yeah, he's clearly the best player in the world. He's way in front in the FedEx Cup, but he hadn't won this year and did yesterday. And there you have it. At 12 minutes before the hour. Hell, I thought I had more on that sheet with the football, the baseball, and the golf. I don't even know if that was 5 stories you need to know. In fact, I think it might have only been 4. Either way, that is the starting 5. Usually 5, but today 4 stories. You need it. You know what? I'll add Gargano won the NASCAR race. I even know that. That gives me 5.
Yeah, it's on the sports page. You just kind of read the headline and go for it.
I could have done the Fever. They won a big game against the Dream, and everybody was going nuts over the Caitlin Clark great layup, and I watched it, and I went, it's a layup, right? I'm supposed to get excited about her driving past someone and making a layup?
I watched probably 2 quarters of that game, actually, because there wasn't anything else on for me to watch until Sunday Night Baseball. So I watched that game, some of it at least, while I was prepping for today's show. But I've got a quick question for you, just to have a little fun here. Did you see Gene Simmons throw out 4 first pitches?
I did not.
In the Angels game. Him and Paul Stanley both threw 1 pitch. Gene's wasn't a strike, so he said, "Give me the ball back." He threw another one. Wasn't a strike. "Give me the ball back." Meanwhile, Paul just walked right off. Gene Simmons threw 4 first pitches at the Angels game.
I'd like to throw a first pitch out one day. I had an opportunity once, but our producer said that I didn't want to do it, and he did it himself. But that's it. We that was at a Rays game. But hey, you know what? I might stay out there. Like, I don't blame Gene. Let's play a little catch. What's wrong with that?
Well, and Gene loves him some Gene too. We know that, but it was funny. I've never seen that before. We've seen horrible first pitches, but they don't ask for it back. His wasn't even bad. He made it to the plate, just wasn't a strike. He said, "I got to throw a strike."
And as I mentioned earlier, from the Yankees standpoint, so Aaron Judge played catch for the first time. This is literally from the article, a small but significant benchmark that represented the start of baseball activities with 6 weeks left in the season. Realistically, if everything goes well, is he 3 weeks away? I mean, if he's just playing catch, he's got to get to where he feels it. And first off, he's going to DH. He's not going to be able to come back initially in the field. So what's the likelihood of Judge being back? Is it 3 weeks? And then is he ready to play in the field by the last week of the regular season? Because with all of the players they have, I don't know. You'd love to have Judge in the field because they are good on DH. They're good at third base. So, Rice DHs a lot. So I'm trying to figure out when he comes back, how they're going to figure this out because you obviously want him back. And the quicker you can get in the lineup, the better because he sets everything up for them from a hitting standpoint. But if we're just playing catch now, don't you think it's got to be 3 weeks before he's able to take an MLB at bat?
Yeah, and I think they should probably make it more of a month because the Rays are just, I don't want to say running away with it, but they've got that cushion. It would take a 2025 Tigers-esque collapse for the Rays to lose that division.
Well, I don't even care about the division, Trent. I'm just saying I want him to have some. I want him to have a couple weeks worth of at-bats so he's not starting the playoffs that rusty. I'm not talking about the division. I'm literally just talking about how do you get the best Aaron Judge possible by the time the playoffs roll around.
And the answer to that is exactly what you just said. Get him as many at-bats as you can, but I'm just saying there's no reason to rush him back because you got to try to play the long game. He's obviously a huge part of that. And also, we can back up quickly, just real quickly. Small and significant step. Small and significant is an oxymoron. Is it small or is it significant? What is it? Which is it?
Well, apparently it's both, Trent. Apparently it's both. So he's coming back. Bellinger, I think, should be back here shortly, which is big for the Yanks as well. He's starting his rehab assignment, I believe, this week. So he heads to AAA, and he'll start that on the weekend. So the Yankees are getting healthy. I think it will take a lot for them to win the division, but I don't think that really matters. I will say the wild card series that we're going to get, I mean, Yankees, Red Sox, the networks are doing cartwheels about how that looks. So we'll take a look at the baseball playoff scenario. We've got magic numbers to talk about. There might be a guy or two that we want to mention. There might be one that we leave out today just for fun. Miller and Moulton, Pelican Roofing of text line is open. 21,000 is the number. Would love to hear from you on what captured you this sports weekend. Did you find yourself watching the NFL Network to watch replays of preseason games? Or are you smartly using this weekend and next to spend as much time as humanly possible with the family? Because you know that a week from Saturday, college football starts, and we're just a few weeks away from the start of the National Football League season. And your weekends, hell, your Thursdays through Mondays will be occupied with football. We'll talk Eagles later on the show. We'll try to get you a poll question and magic numbers. All ahead, Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
Buying or selling a home? Put a local expert to work for you. I'm Mark Miller with McWilliams Buckley, and I believe real estate is about more than transactions. It's about helping people make the right move, from pricing your home to negotiating the best deal. I'll be with you every step of the way. Call or text me today, 239-425-5582. That's 239-425-5582. Experience, local knowledge, and a personal difference. That's what I'll bring to the table. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real. The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
If you're a business who targets men, please know there is no better and more economical way to reach your target audience than us at Miller & Moulton. So let us help you make money. You can reach out to Mark at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton on X, or text us at 21,000. We have a proven product, a good reputation, and lots of quality segments that we can attach your company's name to. Miller & Moulton, we're like that old pizza box. You've had the rest. Now try the best. Miller & Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Trent, and I appreciate you asking us. We're gonna try to stay away from talking about Detroit this week. That's my goal. We got to broaden the kids' boundaries here. And was he great at Colorado? I don't know if he was great. Well, you said really good. Was he? Yeah, I would give him really good at Colorado. I think that's about as far as you can take that. Bud Elliott will be back next week. The week he'll start a week from tomorrow. He's going to be Tuesdays at 8:38. I want to see Trent, and I was going to do this to you before. We're going to go a week you're not allowed to talk about Michigan State, the Lions, or the Pistons for 1 week. You have a moratorium on all things Michigan.
Okay.
I want to see if you can do it. I'd argue with you, Happy. I thought Shedeur in college threw a very catchable, threw a great ball. He holds on to it too long, and he goes backwards. That's my problems with him. My biggest problem is that he always went backward. And in college, you can do that. You just can't do that in the NFL. You've got to be able to step up into the pocket. And I think he would have been good at a lot of schools. I think he was you don't get to the NFL without having a little talented. He's an NFL. I don't know if he's a starter. I think he can play in the league as a backup if he wants to. I don't know if he, it's amazing to me because he didn't look like he worked hard enough, which seems impossible with who his father is, quite frankly. It really does, but.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. We're getting there. Football right around the corner. Be there before we know it. But first, I do think there's a little baseball that needs to be talked about because, well, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty in the sport. And, well, here's how we look right now. In the American League, the Rays and White Sox would have the byes. And I wonder, look, I wouldn't do it. I don't think they will act in any sort of way to change this. But right now, both the Red Sox and Yankees have a better record than the Chicago White Sox. Trent, do you think that the byes should go to the two best division winners? Or do you think this is the last year for that? Do you think one of the things that's going to happen whenever we play baseball again, we're going to get a new CBA. The odds are we're going to have expansion coming around the corner pretty quickly. So I'm guessing that realignment doesn't come until we get to 32, and we're not going to get expansion until after this CBA is done. So do you think there will be any changes next year to the postseason based on the fact that you're going to have wild card teams, by the way, named the Yankees and Red Sox, having a better record than the second division champ?
I think it should change, but I don't think it will, just based on, there's a couple reasons. Number one, you're right, the networks are doing backflips over the money they're going to make by those two teams being wildcard teams. But also, I just think it's a bit of an overreaction to one really bad situation. Like, I think 1 year in the NFL, we had like a 6-win division winner in the NFC South 1 year or something like that. They didn't change anything. They didn't reseed or anything like that. But I think based on this year, they maybe should, and I actually hope to see that someday, but I don't think it's going to happen, Mark. I don't think they're going to overreact that way.
I know they won't, but I do think this will lend to ammo of whether we go to 4 divisions, 2 leagues, whatever they do with 32. There's been talk about just an American League and a National League, or they may change it to conferences coming out of this because there is no real difference anymore with interleague play, with the DH in both. There was a time that the leagues were very different.
Yeah.
Well, how will they look at this when it when it comes about with the new CBA. But no, I'm with you, Trent. I don't think they will make any changes, but I think it gives them ammo for whatever it is they want to do with expansion. And that's post CBA because they've got to get that done first. So, all right, the Rays and Sox would get buys. The Astros would play the Orioles. And here, I mean, here's another break. When you look at this, look at the Astros are one game above 500 right now.
Right.
They're going to have the home series. You get all the games at home. They're going to play the Orioles, a team that's 2 games below 500 right now. So, I mean, that's another negative if you're Boston or New York, because not only do you have a better record than the White Sox, you have a much better record than the Astros, and you get to play one another. Yankees would host the Sox in a best of 3. National League, right now, the Brewers have the best record in baseball after the little skid that the Rays went on. So the Brew Crew right now, by the way, they are after the weekend, they are 3 full games ahead of the Dodgers for what it's worth. So the Brewers and Braves, who are a half game ahead of the Dodgers right now, would get the buys. The Dodgers would have a divisional series against the Padres. They're the last wild card. In fact, right now it's 2 teams in the NL West fighting for the last spot. The Padres are a game ahead of the Diamondbacks. So Dodgers and Padres would be one wild card. Cubs and Phillies would be the other. Got to tell you, from a television standpoint, as long as the Dodgers take care of the Padres, the National League side wins. I mean, you're going to get Cubs or Phillies. I think it's edge Cubs from what would happen on TV, but Philadelphia always has a good audience, so that either side of that, and then you got, obviously the Brewers that they'd want out as quickly as possible, but the Braves are a pretty good draw. So that is the way the playoffs look today. And probably the biggest thing going right now from a couple of things from a baseball standpoint. While Houston's just a game above 500 and holding on to that division, Yordan Alvarez is trying to accomplish something that I think Yaz was in my lifetime. So it was Yaz and then Miggy did it for the Tigers. He right now would win the Triple Crown. And he's leading Tampa players pretty much all over the players. Alvarez right now, batting average 321. Chandler Simpson is next, a ways behind. He's at 309. And then Diaz from Tampa. So it's, Tampa 2 and 3, but Alvarez is 1.
So he should have the batting average. I mean, he should, unless he went in a historical slump.
Yeah, he should. Home run wise, that'll be a lot closer because there's 3 that have a legit shot. And by the way, Murakami missed a bunch of games. He's got 28, the Japanese player for the White Sox. I mean, he's got 28 home runs, and I'm not exactly sure how many games he's missed this year, but he's played in 88 games. Holy Toledo. I mean, think about that, where he'd be if he played a full season. But Alvarez has 36. Caminero for Tampa Bay has 35, and Rice from the Yankees has 33. And then runs batted in, he's leading Dingler from the Tigers by 8. When the weekend began, Caminero was second, and Alvarez continues to pound runs in, and Tampa had kind of a rough weekend. But he has a legit shot at the Triple Crown, and it's the Houston Astros. It's a team we're familiar with. He is a stud. You should know his name if you follow baseball at all. He's, on the cusp of getting other sports fans to know who he is. So you've got Alvarez trying for the Triple Crown. You've got, I think, some really interesting wild card races. And then the other thing I was thinking about over the weekend, Trent, if I were to say who's the best pitcher in baseball right now, who would you say?
Probably, see, you're going to laugh. I think it's Paul Skeens. I just think he's in a horrible situation.
Well, and I mean, he sat out a last start. Is he injured? The velocity went down. I know they haven't won. I think it's Mizorowski, and I don't think it's close. And okay. I think the numbers back me up. His earned run average in today's game is under 2. But to your point, that I think people off the hop would say Skeens, Skubal, Mizorowski. And I don't know if you'd want to fault them, and they might be the 3 best pitchers in the sport. But the year Chris Sale's having for Atlanta needs to be noted. Sale's second in ERA with a 2.16. The old man's fifth in strikeouts. He has 160. Now, Mizorowski has 210. It's not close, and I'm not trying to say that it is. But what Chris Sale's doing out there this year, 12 wins. He's Sanchez from Philadelphia is leading the National League with 15. I think there might be one that's ahead of them total in wins if you go both leagues. No, 15's it. Sonny Gray and Sanchez each have 15. So, Chris Sale, the old guy, when we talked about how this season would go and how important this year was particularly for the Braves, with all of the pitchers that were hurt, and Sale has flat out put that team on his back from a pitching standpoint. It's amazing what he has done. And to me, Mizorowski's a guy that if he comes to town, you go see him play. He's that good. His stuff's that electric. Now, I want to see what he does in the postseason. I'm hoping that, we see a few 7-inning games out of him. And he's had I think he had a complete game recently. So he's not afraid to go deep into games. And he is certainly, he is flat out unbelievable with the stuff that he has. So I'm not at all trying to take anything away from, but yeah, he had a complete game back in June. So he can go the distance. But when you think of the first 3 pitchers, and I think a lot of people would go Skeens, Skubal, Mizorowski, whatever order you want. And you're probably right. But what Chris Sale's doing is worth noting. Is he going to get
for a good team?
Right. But he's not going to win the Cy Young. Mizorowski, I think, to me, will get that this year with the earned run average, the strikeouts. I know he doesn't have the wins of some of the other guys, but they are the best team in baseball right now. So I have no issue giving him the Cy Young. But Chris Sale is having a Cy Young-esque year late in his career. And that's just, he's 37 years old and still able to go out there and be one of the league leaders in strikeouts. So Chris Sale, worth noting. And the Braves, obviously, having a solid year. They're up 5 in their division. Or 7.5 in their division. So he's going to be on a first-place team. Probably going to end up being second in the Cy Young in the National League this year.
But also, like you said, it is really refreshing to see a guy like Chris Sale just maybe is based on the era he kind of came up in, but he is willing to go deeper in games than a lot of these younger pitchers are because he's not conditioned that way. He knows one way to pitch, and he sticks to the script for him.
Miller and Moulton. We'll get to magic numbers coming on the other side. We've got to find a poll question because there's no fun day. There's no, it's tough to say a baseball question and get you guys excited about it. But we'll come up with something. NFC East week this week. We'll do the Eagles today, and then we'll go from there the rest of the week. We've got a few 23s to get to. 12 and 23 are the magic numbers. Hopefully, you spend some time with family because we are winding down the number of weekends without football. They are approaching rather quickly. Get your, got to figure out, got to get that honey-do list done the next 2 weeks. I even cleaned the house yesterday. We kind of do it as a team. Well, the daughter hates it. And the 3 of us go after it. And my daughter's like, the next time I find out that we're cleaning the house, I'm having a sleepover the night before. I just laughed. So cute. It's so cute. She thinks she can get out of stuff. She tries. And it's a girl after my own heart because this is something that I would have done the same thing. And she did tell me, why don't we just hire a cleaning lady? And I said, why don't you just pay for it?
Touche, Dad.
Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. The magic numbers, 12 and 23. We will talk about the best 23s to ever play next.
The Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape. If you're a business who targets men, please know there is no better and more economical way to reach your target audience than us at Miller & Moulton. So let us help you make money. You can reach out to Mark at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton on X or text us at 21,000. We have a proven product, a good reputation, and lots of quality segments that we can attach your company's name to. Miller & Moulton, we're like that old pizza box. You've had the rest. Now try the best. Miller & Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
This is Miller & Moulton.
Because I'm trying to make this is about my radio show, Ambient. And right now, my name's still on it, okay, bud? I appreciate you wanting. I need him to focus on being the best radio show host he can be. And answering questions about Detroit Lions does not do that. Him thinking about what the next segment's going to be, how we can advance that segment, how we can continue to do good radio is all that matters. And that's all I want his mind on. And I want him to spend a week not being able to talk about any Michigan, Detroit crap that seems to be what he likes more than anything else. That's not what we talk about on this show. Our show isn't based in Michigan. Ambient, he can do whatever he wants, but if he wants to keep this job, he should probably listen to me, not you, okay? Do you understand that? I'm trying to be really nice here. I really am. I need him to be better at his job, okay? That's what I'm trying to help him with. And coming on here and BSing about stuff that's not relevant isn't helping him with that. And I don't know why he would ask you anything about Denver sports because he doesn't follow them either. Ambient, you're not listening to me. You're Ambient. Again, here's the thing. Ambient, look, I really appreciate you listening. You don't run this show. You don't run the chat room. You don't run any of it. It used to be two of us that did. Right now, it's one of us, okay? I want the guy sitting right there to focus on what the next segment is, the one after that, and the one after that. I don't want 5 minutes spent talking about nothing. I want it all to be about the show. I hope you can understand that. If you can't, maybe for a week you need to take a break from chat, because I'm not going to fight with you, okay? I've explained it 3 different ways, 3 different times. That should simply be enough.
Magic numbers?
Mm-hmm.
All right, just making sure I got mine pulled up.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Little Eagles talk coming up in a little more than an hour from now. Until now and then, we got some things we can get after. We'll talk a little college football coming up in a while. I got a couple of questions for Trent because some minor things happen. And is it running scared or is it actually smart? So we'll get to that coming up a little bit. But the magic numbers are 12 and 23. 12 days away from the first weekend of college football, Virginia and North Carolina State. It is the best game of week 0. The game that'll get the most attention is TCU in North Carolina. Don't know what to make in North Carolina. I don't know if North Carolina knows what to make with North Carolina. But man, have they had 2 of the weirdest off seasons. Obviously, Belichick comes to town. He gets all the money. He shows up with his young girlfriend. She's making waves. She wants things to be done a certain way. Belichick's not talking to any media at ACC Media Days. And then they fall flat on their face. Okay, so Michael Lombardi, his GM, who said they're going to be the 33rd NFL team, looks like a moron. Then he gets kicked out of school or kicked out of the athletic department this offseason because of inappropriate comments. Don't know exactly what.
Oh, so vague, as
Right.
it always is in that sport, particularly. But, you know.
And then his son, Stephen Belichick, a medical leave of absence, of which we've been given no information on. And do we deserve any information? Probably not. But given what's happened over the last 2 offseason, it makes this easier to speculate that it's this, that it's that. And the folks that I know in North Carolina, and I've done a little digging, they're not getting a lot of information either. So North Carolina, TCU, that's a week 0 game that'll have interest because of the whole Belichick thing. And they're not favored. They're a 7.5-point dog in that game. And Virginia, a team that won double-digit games last year, they bring their quarterback back. So I'm curious to see what Virginia is. I think 7.5's their over-under. A lot of people slamming the over in that game. But we've got that and a couple other college football things to talk about. But the magic numbers, 12 and 23, 23 days away from the start of the National Football League season. We've been doing this all the way through. The best 23s of all time. We'll leave basketball till the end because that's pretty easy. Now, I went through football, and I've only got a couple. I'll start in hockey. None of you really care. You got Bob Gainey with the Habs back in the day. You got Bob Nystrom with his hair for the Islanders back in the day when they were racking up cups. And a guy that I really like, Martin Gelinas. He's in the Hall of Good. I don't even know if he's in the Hall of Very Good, but I liked Martin Gelinas. Baseball, a couple of names I wanted to get to that aren't the big names on the list. But Ted Simmons played catcher for 1,000,000 years, and I think I had every one of his baseball cards. Oil Can Boyd, because when do you get to say oil can in context? And Tippy Martinez, really good pitcher with the Orioles. The next list, it gets a little better. I'll start with, I think, at the bottom. In fact, I know at the bottom, but it's close. Louis Tiant. Loved Louis Tiant. You know, the cigars, the time he spent in Southwest Florida, just everything. And I never got to meet him. Everybody said he's just a great guy. So that it would be fun just to hear the stories. David Justice, when he was with the Bravos, he was solid. So those two you could probably flip. And then you go Gibby, Kurt Gibson, in 84, the home run. Everybody remembers the Dodger home run on one leg. For me, it was the home run in 84 to essentially clinch the World Series for the Tigers. And what was, as a kid, that was baseball in 1984 was a monster. And that summer was like no other for Tiger fans. And then Ryne Sandberg. And that's I've always said I have a soft spot for the Cubs. Watching them racing home from school and running home to see Cubby baseball with Harry Carey and seeing Ryne Sandberg all those years. Guy we lost way too young, super player, and Rhino would be at the top of my 23 list in baseball. I don't know what you have for football, Trent, but I've got 3 names. And I've got
one that's in my wheelhouse, but go ahead.
Well, I've got 3 names. One just finished. The other one was a really good Dolphin, and the other one's a Hall of Famer. So I got Joe Hayden with the Browns. I've got Patrick Surtain, who was a great D-back for the Dolphins, and Devin Hester. If I'm missing someone, I will take your text at 21,000 because both lists were a little jaded, and there might be a couple of others on there, but those are the 3 that I went to.
Devin Hester was the one for me. Only because I was 7 years old, I think, when he ran that touchdown back in the opening play of the Super Bowl against the Colts. And, of course, he played for the Bears, so I got to watch him twice a year. And, yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame as a return specialist. So that's iconic. It just is. So for my wheelhouse, that's Devin Hester when I think football in 23, besides current players, and we'll get to that in a bit here.
And then we go to basketball. And I've got 3 names on my list. I've got the 2 kids from Saginaw that I have to do for my own personal reasons. Jason Richardson and Draymond Green. And then, of course, Michael Jordan. And I don't think there's any other 23s you need to mention. I think we can just move right past everyone else because this is a number that starts and ends with one guy, Michael Jordan. So, there might be someone else that you guys want to talk about, but I'm just going to leave that blank for now.
I will humor you because the other guy you're talking about, and I won't even name his name, switched his number a few times back to 6. So maybe we'll talk to him I haven't done the math, but if and when we get to 6, maybe he'll come up. Maybe. But not today. I'm with you. I concede.
6. Is that the number of championships that Michael Jordan had?
It sure is, but the other guy's still playing.
Yep. And maybe he could go to number 4 in Philadelphia because he'll be the 4th wheel on that team. Of course, we're talking about LeBron James, Trent's favorite player, and I had to do that to have a little fun. But MJ, it's pretty easy. I think if you were to do ones in all sports, I think you got to go Rhino in baseball. I would put Bob Gainey ahead of Bob Nystrom in hockey without any problem. Great Montreal Canadian player. I would put Devin Hester number 1, and then obviously Michael Jordan. So there you go. If I miss some others, you can fire them at me.
I've got a couple of fun ones, just quickly
Okay.
before this segment ends. David Beckham wore it with Real Madrid and the LA Galaxy. So if there's any soccer fans out there, there you go. Serena Williams has 23 majors. So I know sometimes, I think when you guys did 75, David threw out the Dolphins, or 72, he threw out the Miami Dolphins. And that was funny. And for you race fans, Bubba Wallace races with 23 right now. So I just wanted to have a little fun with those.
And I did miss Don Mattingly, so I apologize to all you Yankee fans because you guys will get on me when I miss a Yankee, and that is a fatal flaw, not of just of today. You can't miss Yankees, but Donnie Baseball wore 23 with the Yankees for 12 seasons. So there you go. There is your 23s. I just wanted to see Trent's face when I went through the basketball players and named Jason Richardson, but not LeBron James. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. As always, you can text the show, Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. The magic numbers, we are just 12 days away from the start of college, 23 days from the start of the NFL season. As I mentioned in the starting five, Kittle saying for after the torn Achilles that he thinks he's going to be ready for week one. I would bet against it personally. I mean, obviously, he's as tough as they come, but with starting as early as they are, that gives him, another 10 days for week two. So if it's close, I would lean more towards not playing in Australia, getting on a plane and flying however many hours it is to get home. I would lean more on the side of probably week two there, but we'll keep our eye on that. Aaron Judge, they think he's starting his rehab. Bellinger starting his rehab. So not only come back from injuries in football to start the season, but coming back from injuries to make it for the pennant run in baseball at the top of our mind in both of those sports. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks for starting your week off with us. College football on the other side.
If you're a business who targets men, please know there is no better and more economical way to reach your target audience than us at Miller and Moulton. So let us help you make money. You can reach out to Mark at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton on X, or text us at 21,000. We have a proven product, a good reputation, and lots of quality segments that we can attach your company's name to. Miller and Moulton, we're like that old pizza box. You've had the rest. Now try the best. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I apologize, Tim. I do. I don't know how I go through every sport by number. I do the whole thing and I missed it. And so my bad. I apologize. I will say this for you Yankees fans. Where would you put, if you were to just rank Yankees, does he make the top 20? Like, I'm not being a jerk here. No, I know. I see the laughing emoji, Tim. I'm not dead. I'm like, seriously, does he at best, he's somewhere between like 15 and 20, right? Like, I'm not, if we just did hitters, where does he rank? If we take pitchers out of the equation. I'm not. No, I know it's subjective, but obviously with all, I mean, when you just go from the, the 30s through the 60s, you're going to list a bunch of guys. So I'm just, and it is the Yankees. Whereas if he had that career with so many other teams, it's one or two. That's all. I mean, I just think it's crazy. Absolutely. Now, ChatGPT has him in the top 10 for what it's worth, right behind of position players. Anybody else hearing that squeaking and buzzing? And because it's coming from Trent, I don't know if it's going across.
If it is, I have no idea what it is.
It's just like feedback. It's gone now. It was popping there during the break.
Okay.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Trent Valley sitting in the co-pilot seat. Still trying to kind of get the week lined up. We're getting closer to where it's kind of appointment listening, but with Pat Kerwin still doing training camps, he's moving to Wednesday this week, which means I will probably have Seth tomorrow. I'll communicate with him later today, and we'll probably move Seth up a day. Don't know if it's really time to start doing Dolphins and Bucks and things like that. I spoke with Lee Sterling over the weekend. He'll be joining us not until the Friday before the NFL season, because he's living the high life over in Europe right now. He answered the phone. He was in Edinburgh, Scotland when I talked to him. So he was with family. His daughter's big into, she's an actress, and there's some big thing. They're going to London. They're going to Norway, and I was very jealous. So Bud Elliott will join us beginning next week. and he'll be a weekly contributor to the show. Pat Kerwin for 2 segments. David Behrman will join us weekly now. Dr. Roto during the NFL season will join us 9 a.m. on Fridays. So Roy Cummings, Chris Perkins, still working on a Jags guest on a weekly basis. I've got a couple of Florida guys, so we'll try to be able to work the Florida angle as well as the Canes angle, but not with the same people on a weekly basis. And Jeff Cameron's kind of our Florida State guy, but let's let Florida State be worthy of talking about all the time. One team that's always worthy of talking about are the Buckeyes. They spend the most money. They are, despite the fact that it's been a couple of years since they've won a natty. I think we would all agree, even if you hate them, that they're the number 1 team in the Big Ten Conference. They are. I mean, Indiana, I know what they've done the last couple of years, and it's unbelievable. But push comes to shove, I'll take the Buckeyes over the Hoosiers. Oregon's also supposed to be really good. But Ryan Day announced something, and I think it was on Friday when I saw it for the first time. They have changed their senior day. They used to have senior day like every other school, and it was the last game of the season. And, well, a lot of years, that means it's against the University of Michigan. So Ryan Day has moved his senior day celebration from the home finale to its season opener. He says he believes the change will provide 1 fewer distraction when the Buckeyes host Michigan on November 28th. I am just curious, Trent, is this a cop-out or is this a better way to honor your seniors? Because a lot of teams, whether it's high school or college, on senior day, senior night, the coach likes to start some guys that may normally not start because they're seniors. And after all, well, beating Michigan's far more important than a 5th-year senior getting the nod at tight end for a play. So, do you think this is a cop-out or a better way to honor the seniors?
I think it's a total cop-out. And I think it's strange that he's doing it now. You know, he could have done this in the past because they've had situations in the past, games they've lost to Michigan, where, you know, even going into it, he might have felt that it was a little bit more important to beat Michigan. But ultimately, I understand his reasoning. I just definitely think it's a cop-out. I get it, because you're right, Mark. Now he's going to be able to start some seniors, or seniors will just get more snaps as it is. But why change it? I do wonder, however, though, if this is going to start a trend, if anyone else is going to take up on this, if they don't want to honor the seniors on rivalry week because they do want to honor their seniors on week 1 or week 0 or whatever it is. But I do think also having senior day on the final game they're going to play in that stadium, that's pretty cool.
I agree with that. That's the part of it that I'm struggling with, because he's not the first to do it. Georgia and South Carolina have already done it. South Carolina ends with Clemson every other year. That's at home. Georgia ends with Tech, same thing. So it's not that senior night for Ohio State's always the Wolverines, because it's every other year, obviously. But you either have to do it the first game or the last game, because they are starting their senior season. This is an opportunity. There's a lot of reasons why I can get on board with this. I don't know if I'd go as strong to say it's a cop-out. I think there's part of what Ryan Day says. It's 1 less distraction. You know, obviously when you have senior day and you go through that, because I worked in the front office of a minor league team, not comparing it to the NFL, to Ohio State, to any of that. All I am saying is that after having done that job, I've said this on the air, I pay more attention to when they say the Super Bowl kicks at 6:37. No, it's not 6:35. It's not 6:34. It's not 6:38. It's 6:37. And there's a reason, and there's a script that goes all the way from when the doors open until when kickoff, tip-off, first pitch, whatever the hell it is. It's scripted out. Doors open, music on. I mean, I had to write these scripts. So with senior day, there's a lot of hoo-ha with that. You've got to get all the parents down on the field. They're going to walk out with their kids. And I mean, think about that. You're playing your biggest rival. You're playing the biggest rival in the sport. Now, there's another side of this, by the way. Michigan can't change theirs. Michigan's got to act like, oh, we would never. Not only is it the most important day for the seniors, but it's our biggest game. If you're Michigan, you've got to play this up. So you've got to kind of take what Ohio State did and turn it petty. Now, we've already had Whittingham say, I don't hate Ohio State. Yeah, you better learn. And you got Bryce Underwood, who already said, it's just another loss. Yeah, no, it's not. But I mean, we had Lomas Brown on the show. Asked him, could you play one more game on Saturday, one more game on Sunday? Saturday and against Florida State because they didn't recruit me. He's in his 60s and still would want to suit up against Florida State. So the Saturday thing's a big deal. So, but I get it because of all the pomp and circumstance that goes through it. Apparently they talked about this for a while, and this is the move that they're making. But I understand where Trent could say it's a cop-out. I definitely could. And, I mean, it's a little bit of the pettiness that's going on right now because we still have the whole Jaden Daniels number 5 at LSU. Joe Burrow talked about it, and he's like, well, they told me they're not going to use my jersey. They're not going to give anybody else. He's like, I'm not going to comment on what's going on there. But for me, they could change that, but they told me. And we mentioned it, but Pickett, the D back there that got number 5, is like, yeah, I ain't giving up my number. This is my number. It's they promised me this. So
did you see some of the roasting of Jaden Daniels that a lot of the MLB teams were doing on Twitter? Just a quick aside.
I saw I saw a lot of the roasting period that was done. I thought it was fantastic.
But some of the specifics here, the Mets, we stopped at 4 out of respect for Jaden Daniels. Orioles, we jumped from 4 to 6 runs on a 2-run shot out of respect for Jaden Daniels. Guardians, we won by 5 because we're not scared of Jaden Daniels. And my personal favorite, the Phillies, Bryson Stott will not cease or desist. It was on a 3-run shot. I thought that was great.
Yeah, a couple of the other ones I saw that, just lighten up for those of you that are one side or the other of this. But Jaden Daniels' lawyers are considering legal action against Dr. Fauci after he pleaded the 5th over 100 times. And May 5th will now be nationally recognized as Cinco de Mayo.
There you go.
In honor of Jaden Daniels. So I thought that they were look, it's coming, and this is where no. I don't know if it's Jaden. I don't know if it's his mom. I don't know if it's the two of them. And his mom is his agent. And this is where you want someone else to say, are you sure we want to do this? Because if they promised him they weren't going to wear number 5 anymore at LSU, then I get him being a little honked off. Do I agree with how he's done this? Hell no. But let's just say he did nothing. You don't think he's PO'd when they told him we're not going to put your jersey on another kid, and just a couple years later, there's one wearing it? I can see where he'd be mad. But I think he handled this horribly. And they're Heisman Trophy winners. Those jerseys have been retired in the past. He just handled this like a horse's ass. There's just handled it like a child.
And that's what it seems like for sure. But who's to say he didn't go to LSU and have that conversation, or his mom went to LSU and had that conversation? But if that did happen, if that conversation took place, hey, what the hell's going on here? They would probably come out and say that, don't you think? Jaden Daniels and his mom would come out and say, we talked to them, and they still did it.
When he said he wants it to be handled privately, if you wanted it to be handled privately, why did you send a cease and desist order to the university? You were the one that made this come out publicly. And now everybody's taking shots. And just put it this way. Get off to a 2-1 start. That's all. I mean, you don't have to win all the games, but just get off to a good start. You're coming off of an injury. This is a team with a ton of free agents. They to me aren't good enough to be a playoff team, And if it goes badly for he and they this year, these type of things tend to snowball.
One of the oldest rosters.
Think about Caleb Williams, okay? Think about the finger paints and all the stupid stuff he was doing. Did we talk about any of that last year?
No, because he was winning games.
Because he was winning games. So
it was talked about a little bit his rookie year because he wasn't winning games. So, and he was being outplayed by one Jaden Daniels. But you're right. Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, I believe, Mark, they might have the oldest roster in the NFL. I'd have to look that up, but it's one of the oldest rosters. And that doesn't mean it's going to be one of the worst. It just means they might need to lean on the young, dynamic quarterback who's coming off an injury. So I'm with you. Focus on Sundays. Don't focus on Saturdays of the past.
So those are a couple of things that that had my attention from a college standpoint, because we've got a couple of weeks now, one Saturday left where we don't have college football, and then we get going with week 0. So those were just a couple of things that I thought were interesting over the weekend. That, and I think Dabo Swinney said my team's got a bunch of nobodies. He's already down playing Clemson. They open with LSU. So I've said it before, tried to get an SEC guest today and came up short. I think the SEC, while just the way this offseason's gone, from Sankey, and screaming about their depth, and then Cignetti coming out at the Big Ten meetings and kind of roasting the SEC. Well, you've got Michigan, Oklahoma. You've got Ohio State, Texas. Those are the big marquee games. But don't forget LSU and Clemson. Ole Miss and Louisville. A lot of people like Louisville this year. Even Auburn, who's they're probably a middle third team this year. They play Baylor. Don't screw that up. So this is where the start of the season for the SEC weighs more on them this year than it has in past years, because we always went into the season saying that clearly the SEC was the best. Even last year, I think we did. And now with Indiana making it 3 in a row for the Big Ten, the SEC's trying to puff their chest out and still say we're the best. Well, top to bottom, you are. I truly believe that. At the top, I don't know if you are. I don't, right now the Big Ten's got 3 really good ones. You apparently have 2. That next group, I'll take the SEC with the Alabamas and the LSUs. And I think Florida's going to be much improved. People are starting to get on this Kentucky bandwagon, by the way. Pay attention. People love the quarterback. The coach did all the right things at media days. So there is a lot of depth to this conference. But in order for us to be able to look at that depth and see it pan out on how they get maybe 5 teams in the playoff, there are a handful of games in the first couple weeks of the season that I do think will affect what we view the SEC and how we view the SEC come playoff time. I have said if there was ever a year for a 3-loss team to get in, I think the right 3-loss team could get in this year. Maybe at the expense of a Big 12 team, maybe at the expense of an ACC team. But these first couple of weekends, to me, will do a lot to determine where we view the SEC. Again, all those games pretty big.
And we also know it's better to lose early than late. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Yes, you're right, Mark. You'd love to get shot out of a cannon and get off to a right start here. But as far as what constitutes the best conference in football, I mean, the SEC could say, well, we're best top to bottom. And the Big Ten's like, yeah, that's not what you were saying 5 years ago. You were saying we're champs.
Well, I don't think it's between, I look at it as, will SEC 5 get in over the wrong 2-loss team in the ACC? And yes, it could mean the difference between the SEC getting 5 and the Big Ten is it 4 and 4? But I just think there's a lot on these early week games that plays a part.
If you're a business who targets men, please know there is no better and more economical way to reach your target audience than us at Miller & Moulton. So let us help you make money. You can reach out to Mark at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton on X, or text us at 21,000. We have a proven product, a good reputation, and lots of quality segments that we can attach your company's name to. Miller & Moulton, we're like that old pizza box. You've had the rest. Now try the best. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape. The Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Buying or selling a home? Put a local expert to work for you. I'm Mark Miller with McWilliams Buckley, and I believe real estate is about more than transactions. It's about helping people make the right move, from pricing your home to negotiating the best deal. I'll be with you every step of the way. Call or text me today, 239-425-5582. That's 239-425-5582. Experience, local knowledge, and a personal difference. That's what I'll bring to the table. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, I mean, look at Ohio State's schedule, F Twix. If somehow the Buckeyes go 9-3, do you think they're still a playoff team? You don't, huh? What if they beat Texas? Let's just say they beat Texas, beat Michigan, but lose to Indiana and USC on the road, and they lose to Oregon. You don't think they're in? Over, I don't know, let's say Texas Tech's 11-2.
I think they would be.
All right. Is that just because of the number in the right-hand column, or do you not like Ohio State, or do you think my whole premise is wrong? I'm curious.
Me?
No.
Okay, I was going to say.
Not you. I'm talking to
saying
left.
no. I got you. My bad.
You leave the brakes as much as Moulton did, and he had a reason. You're just gone. You're gone with the headsets off, running laps. I don't know what you're doing. I know that this is not them winning. If they win the Big 12, they're automatically in, Left Twix. I'm saying they're 11-2 and they don't win the championship game. They lose to BYU, who lost to Notre Dame for premise. Conference champions are automatically in. Well, what if it's Iowa or they beat Oregon? So they lose 3 road games, but beat Oregon, Texas, and Michigan. To me, it would be fascinating. That's all. It doesn't matter because I know this thing's going to get bigger quicker, but I just don't like the idea of, look at SMU's schedule. They lose to Notre Dame and lose to Miami in the championship game. Does that mean they're a playoff team? I don't know.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks for joining us on a Monday. We'll talk Eagles later in the show. I do want to ask you a question, Trent. And I'm coming at you. Probably should have prepped you because I'm coming on a left field. And we're going to test your smarts here and how much you are ready for this year's NFL season. But if I were to ask you which quarterbacks have the biggest or the most pressure on them heading into this season, where would you go?
Well, just quickly, I'll fall back on Jaden Daniels just because we just talked about it, so I won't spend time on that.
All right. I'm gonna stop you after each one. Okay. Why does he have? I mean, he's coming off an injury. The expectations of this team are not high. They are not expected to make the playoffs. So why do you put that? Why would you? If you're 32 guys, that's the first guy you name. Why?
Well, just because we just talked about him, but the reason is because he had a great rookie season, and then he's out last year. So you don't want to pull a CJ Stroud and just start off hot and blow a gasket and then slowly decline. And I don't think he's going to do that, but I'm just saying I think there's pressure on him personally. So if we're just going which guys come to mind on personal pressure, he comes to mind for me. I also think there's a lot of pressure on Jordan Love. He hasn't won this division yet since, Matt LaFleur took over without Aaron Rodgers because, those two were together for a while. And the Packers we've talked about how competitive that division is. I think there's as good a chance as any that the Packers could win it. So I think there's got to be pressure on Jordan Love. I think there's pressure on Baker. It's a contract year for him. He wants a new contract. He wants a better contract. He spoke out about how, for lack of a better word, disrespected he is about the way the Bucs handled that situation. So I think there's pressure on him to perform. I think there's a ton of pressure in the postseason on two guys, and it's the same narrative. It's Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. They both won MVPs, and neither one of them can get to the final game, let alone win the final game. And then last but not least, don't get me wrong, I would put pressure on Justin Herbert for some similar reasons, but also he's another guy who he had a chance to win that division last year, and the Broncos punked him.
I agree with you wholeheartedly on the whole Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. A little bit different because Lamar Jackson didn't even make the playoffs last year, and new coach, new regime in Baltimore, but I think that adds pressure. I don't know if it adds postseason. I think it adds all season pressure on them because they have to make the playoffs. I know Eagles fans don't want to hear this, but with no A.J. Brown, and I know they're going to run heavy with Saquon, But I think Jalen Hurts has a lot of pressure on him this year. They've tried to say that it was this off. It's the coach. It's the offensive coordinator. They've switched around. Can he be an upper end quarterback? And I'm not asking him to be Lamar Jackson. I'm not asking him to be Josh Allen. But I do think there's pressure on Jalen Hurts. I'm with you completely on Justin Herbert. And that might be as much postseason. He's got to win a playoff game. He's been anointed this great quarterback his entire career, and he doesn't have a playoff win under his belt. But yeah, I actually think, while you said Love, like in that division, I think this in and of itself could be a really good poll question. Which NFC North quarterback has more pressure on him this year? Caleb Williams or Jordan Love? Because I know Caleb was really good last year, but he left a lot on the table, if you know what I mean. I mean, there were all these great comebacks. So expectations haven't been this high in Chicago in a long, long time. It's boy genius with a really good quarterback. Can Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams take a hold of that division? So I think it's an interesting debate just in that division. Who has the most pressure on him? And by no means, Trent, am I saying you're wrong that Jordan Love doesn't have pressure on him. I would personally say Caleb Williams has more, but I think you could spend a show in the Midwest arguing just that point. So the other guy that, like, I think Josh Allen has a lot of pressure on him this year.
A ton. Yep. Absolutely.
They didn't win the division last year. There are, this now new coach, it's kind of his guy because he's not signing off. They're not hiring a coach unless the quarterback signs off on this. So to me, it's hard to say Super Bowl or bust for a quarterback. It really is. There's a lot more that goes into it than that.
But if there was one that you were going to pick, it would be him, right? It'd be him or Lamar Jackson. Easily.
No, it'd be him. It wouldn't even be Lamar to me. It would be Josh Allen.
The only reason I bring up Lamar, and I probably lean with you, but I think those guys are kind of like 55% Josh, 45% Lamar, and that they have similar accomplishments and they've had similar regular season success, a ton of it, but they're both, going through coaching changes and regime changes and stuff, and neither one of them have even gotten to a Super Bowl. That's all I'm saying. So I think you could throw Lamar in there, but I agree with you. It's Josh.
I think C.J. Stroud has pressure on him, but it's different than the Josh Allen pressure. And I think they can win that division and get back to the playoffs, and he doesn't have to be great because that defense is so spectacular. The other guy, and I've seen a bunch of people talking Dak in our chat room. And, I think there's a certain inherent pressure that comes on any Cowboys quarterback.
By default, right.
And I think that that's a reasonable choice. But the Cowboys light, and not because of their popularity, but because they don't live up to expectations every year, it seems, are the Cincinnati Bengals. And Joe Burrow, when are we going to start? I know he's been injured, and I know he's made it to a Super Bowl. So you've already got some things there that others, and he's, done pretty damn well against this Mahomes guy. But Joe Cool, he got his receivers. He's got a great running back. He's actually got a pretty good tight end too. Offensively, this team's loaded. And I know everybody will say, well, if they don't do it, it's their defense. And you're probably right. But everybody just thinks Joe Burrow can outscore the entire league. I'll believe that when I see it. And I like Joe Burrow a lot. But I do think he has pressure. And as Deadstroke just put in the chat room, it's where I was going next. You said Baker in the state of Florida. I think we could ask the same question about Trevor Lawrence. Who has more? If we were just to debate the Jags and Tampa, we're on in both markets and very happy to be on. Okay, if we were just to say which quarterback has the most pressure, and Trevor had a pretty good second half last year. I like his receivers. I'm worried about the running game, but all in all, Trevor is, to me, a quarterback that now you've won. Now you've got paid. So he's your guy. He's not, and I don't, different types of pressure, because Trent, you're right. Baker's now in a contract year. They can franchise him. They might. Well, we'll see. He could be in Tampa for a couple more years. I get all of that. But if Baker wants to get paid, Baker's got to be good. Trevor doesn't have that pressure. Trevor got paid. So different pressure. But I think coming off of the 13-win season that the Jags had a year ago, the fact that everybody thinks C.J. Stroud sucks, that Jacksonville offensively should be better than Houston. They're not close defensively. They can't get to the quarterback. Nobody can get to the quarterback the way the Houston Texans do. But man, I think that question, like the NFC North, Love or Williams, and the state of Florida, Baker or Trevor, I think those are legit questions of who has more pressure on them.
I think we should put both out as poll questions, because we can circle back on Trevor versus Baker in the Pro Hour. I mean, that you're right. I didn't even think of Trevor, because he did have such a great second half last year, and the Jags as a team, I don't think have as much pressure as the Packers as a team. Maybe that's a hot take, or even the Bears for that matter, to repeat as division champs. But I like both of those, and my answer for the record is Love, Baker, and I think you're the exact opposite.
The Florida one I'm having more trouble with, because it's a different kind of pressure. Baker is playing for money, and this is old school golf to me. This is being 128 on the money list, knowing I got to jump 3 spots to keep my card. That's kind of where Baker is this year. And not just with Baker as pressure on him, Bowles has got a ton of pressure. If they don't, if Tampa doesn't make the playoffs, Bowles is fired.
Yep.
And you lost Evans, you lost David, so there are some key changes to the Bucs. So I would lean Baker. It's really close, and I think it's my personal thing with Trevor Lawrence that I want to see him be better. I don't think he's fulfilled his end of the bargain of where he's drafted yet. I think he still needs to take the next step. And now that he's been paid, now that he's got a competent coach, now that they're in year 2 of a system, I want to see, I know Williams hasn't been in the league as long, but I look at Williams and Lawrence now. There's stability on the offensive side with both of them. If the talent meets the expectations, both take a big step this year. I never had that for Jordan Love from the get-go, if you know what I mean. Baker, because he bounced around, I don't know, and he's been banged up, and he went to the Browns, so I don't know if we had that. So different types of pressure for Baker and Trevor. It's really close. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. I think we can get one of those up for a poll question. I was going to do it for the whole league, and I think that which Florida quarterback has the most pressure on him, Trevor or Baker, heading into this year. I think Baker will win. I think Baker will win by a long shot because he's going into a contract year. But put it this way, and I know they're not getting rid of Trevor. I'm not even suggesting that. But if they descend back to the mean and they're not a playoff team this year, who's getting blamed, Liam Cohn or Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence.
Whereas if the Bucs don't win the division, it could mean bad things for Baker. But Bowles is gone. Write it down, book it. So
I think there's even a world where they lose in the first round, and if they look horrendous doing it, they might move on from him. Because if they're going to be losing Baker anyways on the free agent market,
I don't think he's a free agent. I honestly think, if anything, they franchise him. This is where the franchise tag comes into play. Miller and Moulton, we'll talk the Eagles in 25 minutes as we start breaking down the NFC East. We'll get a poll question up on the Florida quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence. That's coming. All ahead, Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Miller. Wait a minute, Jeff. They owe $30 million deg money on Baker? Okay. Thank you, Jeff. I think it's the Jags, DC, but it's a good question.
Yeah, I'd definitely say Jags. Only because Mahomes is back and the Broncos are the Broncos. At least from last year. We'll see if they can repeat it. But that's another team with an outstanding roster, the Broncos. But also, I don't think either one is going to win their division. But more likely, Jags.
It may be both, number one Dolph fan, because the division's so bad. If they, I mean, winning the division is, it's a bare minimum, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
One kid.
Left Twix, I'm a lot higher on the Chiefs than a lot of people are. And I don't want to be. I can't stand them. I just think last year was they were going to give Denver a run last year. I truly believe that. Had Mahomes not gone down.
Oh, I mean, Jeff, it's funny you say that. Kerwin's right with you, Jeff. Right with you. And David Behrman, who was on our show last week, is with you because from an odds standpoint, it's probably the best bet in that division.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks so much for joining us. We actually did get a poll question up. Who's got more pressure, Baker or Trevor? I think Baker is going to win. I don't think it's going to be very close, but I do think the Jags fan is going, it's Trevor, man. I know we paid him, but I want to see back-to-back years. So that's up. Miller_Moulton on X. That Mark Miller. I don't know if Trent has reposted it yet as well. And I can't remember what the hell he's changed his Twitter handle more than I changed clothes. I guess it's just at Trent Valley now. So you can look at any one of those three places for the poll question. Bit of news coming out of South Beach this morning. Cam Vaughn, who is a backup wide receiver for the Canes, transferred from West Virginia, has been dismissed from the team. So just a little bit of news on the Canes. And by the way, as it was pointed out to me, going doesn't mean that the Bucs can't franchise Baker, but they've got $30 million in dead money rolling over on Baker's contract next year. So if they were to tag him, you're looking at about $80 million with what the tag's going to be on top of the dead money. So can they tag him? Yes. Is it cost prohibitive to tag him? Absolutely. So just food for thought when it comes to next year with Baker and where he heads up. And I know there are about, I would have guessed in hearing that there were like fans of four teams going, ooh, really? I'll take Baker. I already know the battle cries coming from Pittsburgh. And that's not even from my wife. Pittsburgh fans in our chat rooms, some other people are like, ooh, we could replace Aaron Rodgers with him next year. That works for us. He fits here. So,
and also, I'm not sure if Baker wants to even reset the market. You know, he already once took his pay cut, and I know he well lived up to it, and he has so far, right? For getting what, $33 million a year, something like that, 3 years, $100 million. But I think he wants at least 50, but I don't think he would demand 60 mil, which is kind of what the standard is right now.
He can't reset the market. He's not good enough.
I know, but we've seen it before. I mean, Tua reset the market when he did.
Yeah, and look at the mistakes that have been made. He's in that $50 million. He's not going to be getting Dak money. He's going to be getting good money. He's not. I mean, the Dak contract's ridiculous. Even Mahomes has asked for a little more. So he's not at that level. But if he's raising his hand, said, I want Daniel Jones money, how do you say no to that? I want Trevor Lawrence money. How do you say no to that?
I guess that was my point bringing it up. He has a track record of not being the most greedy person, so therefore he's more attractive to teams, perhaps more than another guy of his caliber who has a different personality or different track record.
Well, I literally don't think he was ever in the position to do it. he's been getting a discount because he had to go prove himself. So he's just not. I don't think Baker is this wonderful guy that says, I'll come play for you for less. I think he's playing for what he can get. I've never bought, I know Brady did it because the wife was making money. There are very few people out there. You go back, Peyton Manning never left $1 on the table. He wanted as much money as he could get. And I don't begrudge a player for doing that. So, people get all over Dak for the money. If Dallas wants to pay him, why is it Dak's fault? Now, when we went into the pressure, a couple of people during the break started asking about Dak and about Jared Goff. I don't consider Jared Goff a good enough quarterback to put the pressure on. Dak has pressure. I don't think Dak's in that elite world, but it's the Cowboys. So there's an inherent pressure that comes with being the Cowboys quarterback because there's a couple of networks that seemingly will only talk about them. But do I think the Dallas Cowboys have a shot to be a playoff team this year? Yeah. I mean, I like the fact they got Von Miller, and we'll see what he's got left. There are some other players that can he play 20 plays and provide a little bit of a pass rush? I think he can.
Yeah, I do too.
I think that's a smart signing to get someone, you're not paying a ton of money. So we'll see. I look at the Cowboys as at best a playoff team. I don't think they're where the Eagles are, but it's why, someone commented that Hurts doesn't have the pressure on him of others. I think he does, because with Jalen Hurts and now no A.J. Brown, yeah, Saquon's the guy, but when you lose a one, that means the quarterback's supposed to throw guys open. That means the quarterback's the guy that makes his receivers better. And I don't think Jalen Hurts is a quarterback that makes receivers better. That's where I put the pressure on him this year.
Yeah, and he's never proven that, but because they've won a Super Bowl playing kind of tailoring to his style, I think people sort of give him a pass, no pun intended. But now, new offensive coordinators, so we'll talk in a few minutes about all that, all things Eagles here in 12 minutes at 8:38. But you mentioned, Mark, I just want to go back to this for a quick second. You mentioned there's an inherent pressure on Dak because he's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, right? There's another quarterback we haven't even mentioned, another team we haven't even mentioned, and it's Brock Purdy on the 49ers. Level of pressure there. What do you think?
I don't think I don't even think of him as a quarterback that has pressure on him. I really don't. I think he's a good quarterback. I think it's a great organization, but I'll answer your question with the question, Trent. Do you know anybody that's picking the 49ers to finish better than third in that division?
Maybe second, but no one's picking them to win it. No.
Okay, I don't know of anybody that's picking them second. The 49ers are behind the Rams, who are not only picked to win the division, they are the overwhelming favorite to win the Super Bowl. The Seattle Seahawks, what'd they do last year? How'd they do in their last game?
Won the Super Bowl.
They won the Super Bowl. So at best, the 49ers are the third place team in their own division, and they made the playoffs from that. When you think of the 49ers, who's the first player you think of?
Christian McCaffrey.
Thank you. So no, I don't think, look at Mr. Irrelevant, I think gets to play his entire career without a lot of pressure on him. He's never signed the biggest deal. He's always played above average. He's not been the reason they've really lost games. I put him in the same category in a different way. And I know Goff was taken first overall, but he's not with the Rams anymore. Because I don't think Jared Goff has pressure on him. He plays for the Lions. How could you, no offense, how can you have pressure there? They've never done anything. And in San Francisco, no one's trying to say that Brock Purdy's Joe Montana or Steve Young. So I don't, when I look at the league, if I were to rank the pressure on quarterbacks, I think there's more pressure on Patrick Mahomes this year than Brock Purdy. And Patrick Mahomes is the best damn quarterback in the game, but he's coming off of a season-ending injury and a team that lost 11 games. So I think there's more pressure on the Chiefs than the 49ers and more pressure on Mahomes than Purdy this year.
The only angle on Purdy that I was kind of getting at, and I tend to agree with you because you're right. That division's the best in football. I think it's a gauntlet. But they've been close. And the reason that they didn't win it well, he played all right, I guess.
The reason they didn't win it is he got hurt, and they lost the linebacker. I mean, when they lost, damn it, the linebacker there, is it Greenhow or whatever?
Fred Warner. Greenlaw, Trey Greenlaw.
Greenlaw went out that game. They might win that game. So I've looked at the Niners as just a great team, and as it's pointed out, they are an old team. Their offensive line's not good. So, but that team goes as far as Christian McCaffrey takes them more than from a quarterback standpoint. It's the right, kind of similar to the Eagles. It's like, does Jalen Hurts have pressure on him, or if Saquon does his thing, we don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I get that, and that's fine reasoning. And I found it curious we hadn't even at least brought them up. We talked about a lot of quarterbacks, we talked about a lot of teams, and the Niners hadn't come to mind.
Yeah, and to me, they don't. Like, I don't
deserve it.
Well, it's not deserve it. I just don't put Brock Purdy as a guy that's got pressure on him. He's delivered. We know what he is. First off, he was drafted Mr. Irrelevant, so he's already exceeded any expectations that the world had of this guy coming into this league. So I don't think he has the pressure the way first-round picks do who have maybe underachieved. Miller and Moulton, we will switch gears and talk the Eagles. Anthony Gargano is next.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
The Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Best laid plans of mice and men. I tell you what, on a Monday morning, if the computer works properly, I'm the happiest guy in the world. And for whatever reason, it doesn't like to do it every Monday. But we get through it. Trent Bally sitting in the co-pilot seat. And we'll start our NFC East rundown. Anthony Gargano joins us on Miller and Moulton. Anthony, you can catch him in the Philadelphia area. The All City Network doesn't work with Fox Sports Radio. Follow him on X at Anthony L. Gargano, Gargano. Anthony, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, my brother. I'm doing well. We're getting ready for a football season.
Man, are we ever. All right, I just asked the question a couple of segments ago of what quarterback has the most pressure on them heading into the season. And while I don't think it's Jalen Hurts, I do think there's a lot of pressure. I mean, there's always a lot of pressure. You play for the Philadelphia Eagles. There's a ton of pressure on you, period. But no A.J. Brown. Is the sum, better than the parts? A new OC. He took all the blame last year. How much pressure does this quarterback have on him heading into the season?
No, he does. You're right. There is a lot. Now, it's not about whether or not he could play because, like you said, obviously won a Super Bowl, got to another. But there is a lot of pressure when you think about his future in Philadelphia and the extension because he's due an extension after next year. So, is that going to be the big-time franchise quarterback, pushing all your chips in with Jalen? And a lot has to do with this offense. You said new OC, Sean Mannion, coming in from Green Bay to take over an offense and install. This thing is completely new. Jalen will be under center full-time for the first time in his career. A lot of play action. They'll move the pocket. They're going to be very creative with it. But it's more, this offense is less like the spread and RPOs than this is traditional Shanahan, McVay, the offense that's in vogue, which, you almost need to play in this era because it gives you some answers of what the defense is trying to do.
Anthony, thanks for joining us. How much of that success and prove it does Jalen Hurts? How much of that has to do with adding Hollywood Brown and hitting some of those deep balls? Because even Devontae Smith, we know what he can do when you stretch the field with him. So how much does Jalen Hurts have to do or have to prove in that aspect?
Well, he's very good at throwing a deep ball. Jalen always threw a great deep ball, and he connected with AJ a lot on those go routes, like down the sidelines. That was always a big staple of their offense. This is different. This isn't about deep balls. This is about, more over the middle, more chunk plays, seam throws. He's got to make those seam throws, 20-yard seam throws. That's kind of what's been missing is going over the field. So, no AJ is a big deal. Mekhi Lemon has not been at camp. He's had soft tissue injury. He's nursing a hamstring. That's been a problem. Wicks has emerged as the number 2 behind Devontae right now. He's got a bigger body, and he's got, real good hands. I think Jalen trusts him. The good news for the Eagles, now, listen, it's a new offense, completely new verbiage. It's a big overhaul. So it's going to take time for this offense to kind of click, right? Now, there's going to be no tape on it, which is big, but it's going to take a minute. So I think there's, patience, and in a town that's not very patient, it is a must.
Boy, those two things don't seem to go together in Philadelphia, but I hear where you're coming from. All right, the other side of this to me is that I think Dallas Goedert's really solid, and Jalen Hurts. I think in college, Nick wouldn't let him throw over the middle. So that's the big question. Don't you think the tight end's got to be a big part of this year? Those are confidence guys for a QB, aren't they?
Yeah, huge. And in fact, that's the one area I'm worried about. You mentioned Goddard. Goddard's very good, underrated, but he's got injury issues and he's older, right? They brought him back on a short deal, and they wanted to draft a tight end 2 drafts ago. They wanted Fannin Jr. There was a bunch of good tight ends in that draft. The board didn't fall their way. They take Eli Stowers this year, but he's a big time project, man. He can't block. He's got to figure out how to block. He's got a ways to go, and so there's going to be a lot with Goddard. And Jalen needs Goddard. He uses Goddard a lot. He's a safety valve for him.
I'm reading that interior O-line depth in particular, Anthony, is kind of a concern right now for the Eagles. Is that true? I mean, Dickerson, Juergens, those guys they've got a history of injury a little bit.
Well, they do, but they actually got a couple kids inside that are decent. Kendall is one of their draft picks who's making who's actually got a decent camp. So I'm not really as worried about that. I mean, obviously last year they were banged up. I mean, the whole line was banged up. That can happen, but the guys seem pretty healthy. Saquon looks completely fresh to me. That's the one thing. He's never had a chance to run with this kind of sight line where, you're 7 yards behind in the backfield with that kind of look, right? You get to see it in vision. He looks real spry. He looks energized. I think this offense is going to really help Saquon.
Well, and the other thing is that this is, Fangio in the defense. They're just, to me, they're stacked up front. When you got Davis and Carter, these are premier players up front. They were, top third in the league in sacks last year. So as much as we think about scoring, you're seeing a lot of teams playing a lot more like 13 personnel. The games are going to be more in the 20s than the 30s, and I love where the Eagles are defensively.
Yes, you nailed it. We spent all this time talking offense because it's sexy. It's new offense, Jalen, all the polarizing lists, the quarterbacks, all that nonsense. But the truth of the matter is the Eagles' defense is special. Like, it has a chance to be freaking nasty. Look for a guy named Jalen Hunt. He is poised for another big year. He's another guy that they likely will pay along their front. He's an edge guy. They also got Jonathan Grenard from the Vikings, who's a really good fit in Vic's system. So they're going to be really good up front. You mentioned the tackles. Carter and Davis are nasty. They come back with linebackers, and they have the two best secondaries, probably or at least two of the best in the conference. And Quignon on the outside, and Cooper DeJean, who will play safety and base and nickel corner as well. So and Coop made that big tackle. He's just a physical player, great athlete. Quignon's great cover corner. So their defense is pretty nasty. So they can rely on that.
So one guy you didn't quite mention there is Riq Woolen. 1 year deal, put him opposite Quignon. What's he actually going to bring to the Eagles?
Well, can they unlock him, right? Like, that was the problem. They see, when you see Riq, you see a long corner, like with that size and those hips. Like, they don't make corners that tall with hips that flexible, right? So, you're in love with it. Now, he had a tendency to fall asleep a little bit, which is why he kind of got a little buried in Seattle. They're excited for him. I mean, the fact that you can add a Riq Woolen to opposite Quignon is a big deal. Then you have Cooper DeJean in the slot. I mean, that's an incredible. As long as he's locked in, that's his biggest problem. He's locked in. He's physically gifted. I mean, that secondary could be impenetrable.
Hey, I'm curious. I'm kind of looking at the schedule, and I get caught up in the schedule game way too damn much. But they've got.
I like it too.
They have 2 games off the bat they should win. Then they play a bunch of first place teams at Chicago, home for the Rams, at or Jacksonville in London. I am curious because I don't think going to Jacksonville is like going to Green Bay, if you know what I mean. But they were a first place team, 13 wins. Are people in Philly at all excited about London? Will there be a lot of Eagles at that game? Is that something?
Oh, dude. Mark, listen, let's fire it up. We're all going. I'm doing taking a bunch of people.
Awesome.
Yeah, we love it. There's a place in London called Passyunk. It's the Passyunk Tavern and Passyunk Avenue. And there's like 4 of them. And it's based off of Philadelphia. There's an iconic street called Passyunk Avenue. And there's these pubs across London. So, the owners from Philadelphia is like throwing these huge parties, and it's just going to be a lot of fun, though. So everybody's coming. It's one of those deals where people are saving up for it, and should be a fun trip.
All right, I want to switch gears and talk about this other Philadelphia team. I'll let my co-host ask about the basketball team because I just can't do I can't do LeBron all the time. But the Phillies, they went out, they fire the manager, Mattingly comes on board. They're all of a sudden they're within 3 games or 3.5 right around the All-Star break, and they can't get out of their own way in the second half. Since the trade deadline, since the All-Star break, they've not been good. They've only won a handful of series. I know they don't have back end starting. They've got 3 guys, and they're not getting a whole lot out of Nola. When you look at this team heading into September, what's your level of concern?
So, listen, my biggest issue is bullpen and balance in the lineup. Their right-handed power. They really they have lacked right-handed power. They've actually gotten decent starts out of Nola recently, and he pitched very well in that Field of Dreams game. And Painter's been somewhat on the uptick, although yesterday was a little rough. They need right-handed power. When they get right-handed power, when Bohm, somehow Alec Bohm's been on fire for the last 2 days, and it lengthens the lineup. They're so left-handed heavy. And then they get Luis Ariz, and you bat them cleanup. They love their analytics where they're batting Schwarber first, and they like the lineup backwards, which I don't get. It kind of infuriates me. The whole thing's going to come down to this: they have 3 elite starters: Wheeler, Sanchez, and Luzardo. So that's going to give them an advantage in the series. You have the back end covered, with Duran. So can they get a little hot offensively, and they can have a bridge to Durant? So that's been their biggest issue. There's no bridge. The bridge is out. They got to bring up. There's a kid named Gage Wood who throws hard, big time SEC kid. That's to me their only plan. I gotta believe that at some point the starters at least keeping the game. But, again, can Schwarber and Harper carry them? That's the question yet again.
And like you just mentioned, 3 starters, at least in that wild card series, they can stack up against anyone in a 3-game series.
All right, Anthony, real quick.
It's great pitching, Yeah.
If I get my one basketball question, I will ask you this. I understand that LeBron James is the 4th best player on that Philadelphia 76ers team, but he still plays at a high enough level where at any given night he could be the number 1 guy. How many times in an 82-game season do you think LeBron's going to lead the team in scoring, if at all?
I'll say 0. I think he will get a bunch of assists. I think he'll get a bunch of boards. I think he'll be incredible with exactly what they need, which is a facilitator. But Maxey and Jaylen Brown are going to score. And Bean, when he plays, is going to score. And even VJ Edgecombe is going to get a lot of good looks. So there's going to be no need for LeBron to even have to score. He'll get his, but lead the team, I think that's going to go elsewhere.
All right, he's Anthony Gargano, joining us to talk a little Philly sports and Eagles, finishing up a vacation and making time for us here on Miller and Moulton. Anthony, thanks so much for doing this. You know how much I appreciate it.
My brothers, anytime, Mark, anytime, buddy.
All right,
Have a great week.
Yep. Anthony Gargano here on Miller and Moulton. Good dude. Good dude. Literally, he said, can I do it later? I'm on vacation. I'm like, that's kind of the time I need you, but I'll find somebody else. You're on vacation. He's like, dude, I got it. Don't worry about it. I'll get up. I love it. Love it.
That's great. For the record, I agree with his take on LeBron. I just wanted to, coming from a Philly market guy, I wanted to hear if the,
I thought you were going to ask over under, does he play 62 games?
And it might be under, Mark.
He'll play more games than Embiid. He will play more regular season games than Embiid.
That would be a good poll question if anyone cared about the NBA who listens to this show.
But for another day, we're getting ready for football. We are 23 days away from the start of the National Football League season. We are 12 days away from the start of the college football season. We'll focus on the NFC East this week. Eagles today. I'll get working tomorrow. I have no idea whether we're going to do Commanders, Giants, or Cowboys. What that relies upon is who answers the phone. Seth Everett will probably be with us tomorrow because Pat's going to be Wednesday and Friday this week before we get him in his normal spots as he's going to be doing Atlanta and Tampa. And he's in Tampa on Tuesday, and he wanted to talk to Todd Bowles and whoever else he talks to from the Bucks before he joins us for the Wednesday show. We've got a poll question up today. It's quarterback centric. Just who's got more pressure, Baker or Trevor? Simple question. Different reasons to me. They both have pressure on them. Baker obviously playing for a contract. Trevor trying to be consistent, lead this team to back-to-back division championships. And that's no small order with as good as the Houston Texans are. We've already piled through 3 hours, the Pro Hour on the other side. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks so much for listening.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Buying or selling a home? Put a local expert to work for you. I'm Mark Miller with McWilliams Buckley, and I believe real estate is about more than transactions. It's about helping people make the right move, from pricing your home to negotiating the best deal. I'll be with you every step of the way. Call or text me today, 239-425-5582. That's 239-425-5582. Experience, local knowledge, and a personal difference. That's what I'll bring to the table.
If you're a business who targets men, please know there is no better and more economical way to reach your target audience than us at Miller and Moulton. So let us help you make money. You can reach out to Mark at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton on X, or text us at 21,000. We have a proven product, a good reputation, and lots of quality segments that we can attach your company's name to. Miller and Moulton, we're like that old pizza box. You've had the rest. Now try the best. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
What time slot is he in, Mark? His show.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. So I would love to tune into him more often. He's fun.
I think I finished 10th, Michael. because I didn't have Scheffler on my team. So you can't really win without having the guy. I was doing good heading into the weekend, and then, well, it is what it is. That thing shot at me this morning too, Adam. It says Cowboys. He's a pro Cowboys guy. He's just wearing the star.
It's a flag. You just can't see the bottom half.
It's one of 3 golf shirts that he owns.
Probably. It's the nice polyester material, lightweight.
Yeah, I mean, I had a T5 and a T5 and a T7. And a T12 with Tom Kim, and where did Sahith finish? He let me down. Yeah, he choked up the joint. That was a bad pick. I don't know who the C guy to get was. There obviously was one, but I couldn't tell you. I don't really love how this thing's hard to go back and look.
What exactly is it? Like a pick'em league that you do?
Yeah, you get pick 5 guys each week, but they're tiered. So you can't just pick the 5 best guys. And you only are allowed to pick each guy 5 times a season.
Okay.
I did not go with Michael. I will never take Fowler. I don't trust him. And he finished in the 30s. He started out good like he always does, and then just. I mean, he is what he is. He's just he's an average player out there. I think he shot 61 at him. That's ridiculous.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks so much for making us a part of your morning. The Pro Hour, Tampa, Jacksonville. Our poll questions hitting you right in the throat. Which quarterback has more pressure on him this year? Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence? You can vote at that Mark Miller, Miller_Moulton on X. And you can always text us at 21,000 to let us know what you think. Trent, do you play fantasy football?
I do. I'm in 4 leagues this year.
You're in 4 leagues. Okay.
4
Have you
leagues.
been a part of one of those leagues for a long, long time?
Yeah. My high school buddies, we've been doing it since before high school. So at least.
So you've been at now. Yeah. Do you, because and they've been doing this for years, but I think the creativity this year of what people have to do has been terrific. Do you have any punishment for whoever finishes in last place?
We do.
What was your punishment this year? What was the last place person? What did that person have to do? And were you that person?
Not this year. I have been in years past, but this year we switch it up every year. This year you have to golf a round of 9 in a skirt. You have to wear a skirt.
Okay, that's fine.
It's not that bad. We do our draft weekend. We always pick a course, Mark, so we switch it up every year, and then we switch up the punishment. But this year we thought it'd be fun because we're going to a not so nice course, or not as nice. You know what I'm saying? So we felt we could get away with a guy running around with a skirt. So that's what we're doing.
All right. So I've seen 3 punishments that I find to be fantastic. Some of these you may have already seen, but there was one gentleman who finished in last place in his league, and they locked him in. It looked more like underneath the stairs of a house. To call it a closet would be doing an injustice to closet. He was in the stairwell, which was closed off and had a door, and he had a light in there. And he was in there for however long it took for him to finish a 1,000-piece puzzle. The puzzle was baked beans. Now, my wife loves puzzles. She is constantly doing puzzles. She's very good at it. I hate puzzles. When I saw that punishment, that looked like the most agonizing thing in the world. And they were taking him out of the little cubby hole and putting a bag over his head so he could use the bathroom. And of course, after he had been there for X number of hours, it was dinner. What did they serve him for dinner? Baked beans. And if you think about it, how difficult must a puzzle be with baked beans? Because they all look the same. And that's how the puzzle looked. It looked horrible. He eventually would break the door down and leave the room. He took the door off the hinges from the inside to escape the room. He never finished the puzzle. That was cruel. But also, I thought took a lot of good work by the guys. Because nothing of it against your skirt. That's cute. We've all done, I've seen the thing people wear it on the corner. I'm the worst fantasy football, but they're cute. I'm not knocking those. I've seen people have to get tattoos and bad ones, which I think is a little over the top.
See, we like to not be as relentless. And by the way, if that puzzle was like jelly beans and there was some colors to work with, that might be a little easier or more reasonable. 1,000-piece baked beans, that's impossible. Right. I don't blame the guy one bit for breaking the door down.
So that's one that I'd seen. The one that I thought this one I also found creative because a woman posted this and her husband had to dress up as the very hungry caterpillar. If you know the kids' book, his wife wakes up to him in full costume and he had to eat all of the foods that the caterpillar ate in the very hungry caterpillar. That's a book I read to my daughter 100 times minimum. So I got a kick out of that. That's cute. And I think it's funnier that the wife doesn't know and she woke up to her husband dressed like that. But my favorite this year has been the guy who lost and had to go play golf as a single at a public course. And when you play as a single, they pair you up with others. The kicker was he had to play 18 holes of golf and he was not allowed to use a golf ball. He had to act as if he was playing and not tell the people he was with why he was doing what he was doing. The videos I saw from it were fantastic because he's calling out his shots. He's doing play-by-play. Oh, that was a good one. Hit that one right down the middle. And then he'd go up and hit his next shot for 18 holes. And by the end of it, the playing partners are tending the pin and pulling it out. And I thought they did a great job of that. But if you've ever played golf as a single, and it's, for some people, it's traumatizing. For others, they don't care. I don't think I'd like the idea of showing up at a golf course and playing with strangers. I can't think of outside when I was a kid and played in tournaments, how many times I ever had to play with, 3 random people that I didn't know. Now, I did it when I was at Pebble Beach. I went out there, I don't know, it's been quite a while ago now. And that was, I was by myself for a work event and I was in near Pebble and I'm like, I'm going to try to play. And I got on. And I played with 3 guys, happened to be a dad, his son, and his soon-to-be son-in-law. So they all knew one another. I was a stranger. They were great guys. The old man had just sold his company and brought them all out on a vacation to celebrate. They were all pretty good players. I believe his son went all the way back and shot like 79, I think. So he broke 80. Good player. And it was a good day. But think about walking on the first tee and then acting like you're playing golf. So those were the best 3 I saw this year. And I love the idea because none of them are hurtful. Now, I will say the puzzle's almost hurtful. That's cruel and unusual punishment to some people. But the other ones, they're not cruel. They're not over the top mean. And they had some creativity. So if you've seen better, 21,000 is the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. Our poll question today, Trevor or Baker, who has more pressure on them heading into the season? Right now, it's dead even. 50% each. That Mark Miller, Miller_Moulton, Trent Bally on X to vote.
And for the record, I'm a Baker guy when it comes to this question. I'm a Baker guy in general. I like Baker, but I think, between him and Trevor, he's got more pressure. And Mark, for the record, you are?
Oh, I went Baker. I think it's very close because I want to see Trevor have consistency. I want to see, I don't care if Jacksonville wins the division this year, but you need to win double digits and be a playoff team. I think it's, David and I talked about this a while back. We both thought it was a big year for the Jags this year. And they go into the draft, and Liam Cohen drafted basically backups, drafted guys sometimes 2 rounds ahead of where they were projected to go. That makes you look like you're the smartest guy in the room. That adds pressure to Liam Cohen. So I've said it before. I like their receivers. I wish they had one more pass rusher. Their defense was, I think it ended up being the best defense against the run last year in the league. That's impressive. They'll need that again. Because the one thing Pat Kerwin, if you've listened to Pat on the show, is nearly everybody. Now, I will say Philadelphia, and you heard Anthony Gargano talk about it. He does not like the tight end room. So, yeah, they can go beefy when they run the tush push, and they'll put a couple of tight ends in. I just wonder about their depth at that position. But you've heard Pat now for a month. Man, every team's putting a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. There are a lot of sets with 2 and 3 tight ends on the field. Possessions, I think, will be down slightly this year. I think the league is, the defense, it goes in ebbs and flows. We went from the score every possession a couple of years ago to a few more defenses and teams now running the ball. Because what have defenses done to keep up with the wideouts and the passing offense is they've gotten smaller, lighter, faster. What do offenses see? The opportunity to run the ball against some of the smaller linebackers that are out there. So it's a game of ebbs and flows. And I do think right now you're seeing the offenses add more tight ends, add a little more beef. We're seeing running backs get paid think about it. Bijan Robinson got paid. Gibbs got paid. Saquon got paid before that. So it's not the era of the running back again, but there's maybe more offense put on running backs today than in maybe the past 5-6 years.
And that is a perfect segue because I remember listening to you and David when it was pretty much accepted that the Jags were going to let ETN go. And so it'll be interesting to see how they kind of remedy that situation because you're right, it is becoming more run heavy and it's more important to have a good running of the football when there are fewer possessions. And can the Jags be the Jags? Can Trevor be Trevor? Maybe that's where you look to Trevor under pressure to kind of, heighten his game and take some pressure off the run game a little bit, if you know what I mean.
So and you're right, like Jacksonville running the ball and in the Bucs, like Bucky Irving is going to be, I think it's going to be more of a 1-1A. I do think Gainwell is going to be a big part of their offense, catching balls. And, from a fantasy standpoint, I know no one cares about that, but just be cautious with Bucky Irving of where you draft him, because I think it's going to be more of a 1-2 punch in Tampa this year with what they're going to try to accomplish on the ground. I like where the line's at in Tampa. You're replacing Mike Evans. I know he was older, but Godwin's got to be healthy. Abuka's going to take a bigger role. When everybody got hurt, Abuka started out great. When everybody got hurt and he had to be the guy, it was a little more difficult. Now he's in year 2. What does that mean for the Bucs? So different kinds of pressure
for sure
between Baker and Trevor. Trevor has to show that he can do it back-to-back years. And I think the receiving group in Jacksonville might be one of the more underrated groups in the league. I think they're really good. I think they're 3 deep. They're all solid, and you're not hearing about them among the best wide receiver groups in the league. I think they can be. That all falls on Trevor Lawrence.
And multifaceted, too. And I think that helps any quarterback, but especially if you're going to call Trevor Lawrence a limited quarterback.
Well, I don't call him a limited quarterback.
I don't. I'm saying,
Trevor. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was picked first overall. This is.
I understand, but
what's his limits?
People say the same thing about like other first round picks, like Goff. People say the same thing about Baker. So I'm just saying it is nice. I'm agreeing with you. It's nice to have a diverse package in the wide receiver room, and the Jags do have that. I'm absolutely with you. They don't get talked about enough.
Miller and Moulton, so that's the poll question. Pelican Roofing of Florida text line is open. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was the day when and what's on taps. How we'll finish out the show today as we run through the NFC East this week. We did the Eagles today. Miss any of the show? MillerandMoulton.com. It's where you download it and any of the usual places that you can get your podcast. Starting off on Monday, Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for doing it. We appreciate it.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
If you're a business who targets men, please know there is no better and more economical way to reach your target audience than us at Miller and Moulton. So let us help you make money. You can reach out to Mark at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton on X, or text us at 21,000. We have a proven product, a good reputation, and lots of quality segments that we can attach your company's name to. Miller and Moulton, we're like that old pizza box. You've had the rest, now try the best. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Clark, you like playing with randoms, huh? I can't even tell you. I don't like when I have to play with a summer member that I don't know. Good for you for playing with randoms. I've become old and crotchety. I love my Saturday game because it's just the same. It's 5 of us, 4 play. We've even played a 5-some. I like all of them a lot. We're all similar talent levels.
With Lawrence, I just meant some decision-making stuff. Like turnovers. I saw something the other day. He has the most turnovers since entering the league for him. I don't know. It was some advanced.
No, but just think about it. When you go with broad generalizations, I'm going to pin you down.
I know. I didn't have the number in front of me.
You're like, well, he's limited. Limited how? I've never heard that before. I don't think he's limited. He can't. I mean, he can throw a deep ball. He can throw a cross. I mean, he throws every pass. So when you say limited, what is it he can't do? So
I just didn't have the number in front of me, and we were coming up against it, so I didn't want to talk too long. And yeah, I got you.
You do open houses, Clark? Good for you. Ugh. You get to meet all. Well, I guess it's, you know what? I would see this part being good about open houses is that you meet all the neighbors that one day you can maybe sell their home. With the way that we're able to see homes and do things, I think open houses are the biggest waste of time in the real estate world, personally. But that's just me. And that comes from both of my bosses, too. But you only do them when the homeowner demands them. And I've done them. I get it. I don't think they're risk for the homeowner. I just don't think that they're in with what we have today. Most people are working with the realtors. Yeah, you can get the random walk in. That would be. No, I understand, Clark. I just it's like those little signs that people put with all the information. They get stolen by all the neighbors. They're worthless. I've got Giants people in my phone. I've got a list it's just a matter of them saying yes, Tim. I reached out to 6 people for today. I got 1 yes.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thank you so much for listening. Monday edition. Talked a little baseball, a little college football, a little quarterbacks, a little Eagles as we get through the NFC East. Everybody's got one preseason game under their belt. There'll be more joint practices this week. So there is that to look forward to. Pat Kerwin will make his 2 appearances on the show. Seth Everett probably will join us tomorrow unless there's something crazy going on. I'll flip-flop he and Pat one last time before we get ready for the season. Our poll question today, who has more pressure on them, Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence? Number 1 Dolphin says Trevor is limited. He's not an elite thrower of the ball. And he has 83 total turnovers since he entered the league. So more pressure on him, even though he got paid already. I think there's slightly more on Baker, and all the points that Dolphin put in there are all relevant. I just think that because Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence aren't going anywhere no matter what happens this year. They virtually have a pass. I would like to see them have back-to-back solid years. I would like to see Jacksonville be a consistent, good franchise. The Bucs, quarterback, coach, the pressure of having a job next year. If Baker doesn't perform and has a bad year, even if he gets, injuries are part of it. Baker's played through injuries. Baker's been banged up. He gets hurt again. Does Tampa just completely turn from him and not offer him any money? Todd Bowles, if he doesn't make the playoffs, he's out of a job. I mean, that's just the way it is. In the NFC South, with that division, and it seemingly looks as if you're going to have to win the division to make the playoffs. Obviously, we know nothing right now. Could 2 teams end up in double-digit wins and then make the playoffs? It's possible. But when I look at the NFC West and I see LA being as good as they are, and Donald worked out again, we're going to get that decision here pretty quickly. Seattle, I think, is actually flying under the radar right now. No one's talking about the Super Bowl champs because all the focus is on the Rams. San Francisco while old, still good. So 3 really good teams in that division. We had everybody over 500 in the NFC North a year ago. Looks like you could get 2 double-digit teams there. And everybody looks at the bottom 3 teams in the East differently. When you bring up the Cowboys, Washington Commanders, and New York Giants, you can get a lot of different answers because there are people who think the Giants could be a sneaky team with John Harbaugh there. They like Dart. I don't think they're there yet. I think that roster is still a year away from being a playoff contender. Washington was 2 years ago. Last year, Daniels gets hurt. And the Cowboys are going to be good offensively. Is the defense enough to get them to double digits?
Yeah, the angle for the New York Giants would simply be it's year 2 for Dart, year 2 for Scattaboo, year 3 for Neighbors, right? So they kind of have their 3-headed monster there on offense, and the new coach. You named it. So, and he's not just any coach. You're bringing in John Harbaugh, an extremely established guy who has made deep playoff runs, won Super Bowl, so that'd be the angle there. And I think that's where most people right now are probably, they're probably leaning Dallas. But if you're going to pick a second place team in that division, I don't think you can sleep on the Giants.
I will. I don't think the roster's there yet, but I do understand why, and I think it's more John Harbaugh. I think people think that the team's not been run the right way, and he clearly is in charge. And I don't think there's pressure on him, but I do think that I find that okay, Tomlin's not coaching this year. He's doing TV. Everybody thinks he's going to get right back into coaching. If by chance John Harbaugh has a terrible year in the Giants, I'm not saying that changes Tomlin's mind because the money's obscene and their coaches love to coach. But if you're Tomlin looking around for whatever job you're going to take next year, don't you kind of watch what Harbaugh does with the Giants? Because why does a coach get fired? Well, his team wasn't good. So if you're going to jump back in and you're Tomlin, aren't you kind of paying attention to what Harbaugh is doing?
I didn't think about it like that, but yeah, that's a great point because that would be the modern example or the most recent example of a coach that gets right back into it and can't handle it. We had Urban Meyer a few years ago that was one and done, but he didn't come from the NFL. So that was a different situation. A one and done coach is pretty rare. Who was the Arizona Steve Wilkes? Was it Steve Wilkes who they fired after one season to bring in Cliff Kingsbury? I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. 1 year, one and done coaches are rare. And if it happens to Harbaugh, then yeah, Tomlin might wait it out.
No. Yeah, I'm not saying Harbaugh's going to be one and done. That's not at all what I'm implying. Because they're not going to fire him. But if they go 6-11 this year, and it's hard. I mean, think about it. John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin won every year.
Yeah.
Tomlin never lost more than he won. It was 500 or better his whole career. And they couldn't wait to get rid of him in Pittsburgh. I'm just saying, let's just say Tampa Bay underachieves and Todd Bowles is gone. Now, the Tampa fan, Tomlin's going to be on the top of every single list out there. Yep. There's going to be the handful of coordinators. If you want to go that route and you want to go off a McVay tree or, whichever tree you think's the hottest offense. But if you fire your coach, Tomlin's going to be on your short list. Let's just use Tampa as the example. If Todd Bowles doesn't get it done, how attractive is that? You don't have you don't know if you have a quarterback. If you're going to keep Mayfield, if you franchise him, we've already pointed out that's going to take $70 million against your cap. So how attractive is that job?
Those are the things you probably ask in the interview, though, right? If you're Tomlin, you go in there, you're like, hey, can we give Baker Mayfield this kind of money? Because I like Baker. I'm not saying he does or doesn't.
But it's not on. They can give it to him, but now it's a little more. If you don't franchise him, and it was a great point made by a listener earlier, he's got $30 million in dead money. So if you franchise him, I think a franchise quarterback is going to run right around 50 next year. So you're upper 70 to $80 million on your – yeah, you can franchise them. That's a pretty big chunk of your salary cap. So, yeah, but now there are no – if only franchising him says keep him because if you let him look, he can go anywhere as a free agent.
I would not rule out Mike Tomlin also taking the Sean Payton approach, where he's out for a few years. I know that all reports and everyone kind of seems to believe that he wants to get right back into it, and that's why people are talking about it like this. But if the right job doesn't present itself, like let's say Aaron Glenn gets fired in New York, is Mike Tomlin going to the Jets?
God, no.
Exactly.
No one's taking that job.
Exactly. So I know more jobs than that would be open, but you get my point.
There's 7 or 8 every year.
He could wait more and just wait it out because he's going to be at the top. Mark, he could wait 5 years and still get interviews. So
that's pushing it, but I understand your point. But I just wonder, does John Harbaugh, in his success with the Giants, but obviously, Dan Quinn's brought in a whole new defense. Basically, they've got so many free agents. So I don't, I look at that division. Obviously, I'm picking the Eagles, but could that division get 2? And that was really, we took a short point, made it a much longer one. When you look at the NFC this year and you look at the South and the pressure that's on Bowles and Baker, I don't know what gets in besides the division winner. I mean, they only won 8 games last year to win that division with Carolina. So do you really think that 2 teams can go from under 500 to double-digit wins? The odds would tell you no. So
no, and until the South proves that they can get more than one team in for the first time in years, then no.
Miller and Moulton, poll question, Baker or Trevor? Which quarterback has the most pressure on them? We are 12 and 23 days away, respectively, from the college and pro football seasons. By the time we get to a week from today, we'll be actually talking about games that matter. This is the last week in which football games don't matter. Yeah, the preseason ones will continue in the NFL. But from the college ranks, at least next week with week 0, we get going. Today was the day when, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what's on tap. My favorite part of today was the day when, seeing if Trent Valley knows if any of these things actually happened. That's next. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
If you're a business who targets men, please know there is no better and more economical way to reach your target audience than us at Miller and Moulton. So let us help you make money. You can reach out to Mark at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton on X, or text us at 21,000. We have a proven product, a good reputation, and lots of quality segments that we can attach your company's name to. Miller and Moulton, we're like that old pizza box. You've had the rest. Now try the best. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
What is the underachiever series? Unless you mean it's me and Trent.
I would hope that's not what it means. Because in that case, there'd only be one on the show. Oh, Tigers and Pirates.
Oh, okay.
God, I love PNC Park. Been there 3 times.
It's the best part about that place, Georgie. It won't be the same way when they switch, but yes.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thank you so much for listening. Football on the brain. We're getting there. Still a lot of baseball to be played, but a little bit more of dispersion between the bottom teams in the National League. There was a lot of teams fighting for that wild card. It's spread out a bit. The American League is a flat-out mess. None of them are any good, and they're all very close to a playoff spot. When you look at the wild card race in the American League right now, the Orioles are 2 games below 500. The Mariners 2.5 back, 7 games below 500. Between them, Guardians, Twins, Tigers, Blue Jays, and Rangers. Tigers had the spot heading into the weekend. They were swept by the White Sox. They went from the 3rd wild card to being 6th out of the wild card teams. Yankees and Red Sox 1 and 2, and then everybody fighting. Right now, we'd have 4 teams from the American League East in the playoffs if the season were to end today. We do this every day, so let's go now.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
All right, where do we start today? We start in 1903, where Joseph Pulitzer donates $1 million to Columbia University and begins the Pulitzer Prize. Yeah, that
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, $1 million in 1903. That would be something. All right, 1933, Gehrig plays in his record 1,308th consecutive game. Today in 1939, The Wizard of Oz debuts. George Orwell's An Animal Farm is published today in 1946. This is a fun one, just for what it's worth. 1957, Richie Ashburn fouls off 2 pitches in 1 game. He hits the same fan with both foul balls. Alice Roth gets plucked by the first one and it breaks her nose. They're carrying her out on a stretcher and a second one hits her.
That is the Chris Farley SeaWorld SNL sketch. That's what that is right there. He's the only one getting splashed by the big fish.
Miles Davis releases Kind of Blue, one of the more influential jazz albums of all time today in 1959. Couple of things in 69. They're still rocking at Woodstock. It's basically the last day. It would go into tomorrow past midnight and then would finish, I think, with Hendrix playing the Star Spangled Banner. Also today in 69, Ray Floyd wins the first of his 4 majors, winning the PGA, beating Player by a stroke. Willie Mays hits his final home run today, number 660. 1973. 1979, The Life of Brian. Monty Python movie that was funded by George Harrison. He loved those guys. They didn't have money for their movie. Handmade Films, his film arm ended up funding that movie. A little worthless trivia for you. Today in 1980, George Brett goes 4 for 4. He would raise his batting average to 401 on August 17th. He wouldn't finish with a 400 batting average, batted 390 in 1980. 87, Paul Molitor goes 39 games, the longest Brewers hitting streak and the longest one. I believe that was the longest one since Roses. Obviously, no one got to Joe D. Nirvana shoots their video for Smells Like Teen Spirit today in 91. They recruited fans at a concert 2 days earlier, and that's who showed up to do it. Clinton admits in taped testimony that he had an improper physical relationship with one Monica Lewinsky today in 1998. Davy Crockett, you're aware who that is, right?
Yeah, he's the outdoorsy guy, right? I'm pretty sure. Like, what do you call that? Woodsman or
frontiersman? Maybe would be the term I would go with.
But I know who he is. Yeah,
he's the woodsy guy. Mae West.
Nope.
Probably one of the first Hollywood sex symbols. I don't know if it would be the first, but one of. And Boog Powell, first baseman for the Orioles, would have all celebrated birthdays today. Robert De Niro's 83 years old.
Wow.
Ted Giannalis is 73. You don't know who that is, but if I said the San Diego Chicken, you might know. Maybe
yes,
the most famous of all mascots, no offense to you Philly fanatic people. And his handler tried to fight 3 teenagers once at the Silverdome in Pontiac because, well, we had gone to a game and it was San Diego Chicken Night, midweek game. I was probably, I don't know, my buddies were old enough to have a driver's license. I was probably 12, 13 years old. And we go to the game. And Dave Sperling, who was my neighbor, Dave decided to heckle the chicken. And every time the chicken came near us, he would yell, "Ted, get some new material. Hey, you going to put the baby's head in your mouth? That's a good one." And he was giving it to the San Diego Chicken. And the chicken didn't like it. And he had a handler. And the handler comes and sits down next to Dave and I and Doug Gillis. I think that was the 3 of us that went. And Doug's other older brother, Mark, might have been there. But for some reason, I just remember it being the 3 of us. And he started threatening us. And none of us were 18. He goes, "Oh, so you're going to fight?" So then my neighbor and friend was like, "Oh, you're going to fight 3 kids? Ooh, that'll do it."
That's tough.
And so then once we were threatened and my buddy had just looked at the guy, "Yeah, you're not winning this." He ended up going away, but that's my one San Diego Chicken story. Belinda Carlisle is 68. Sean Penn, 66. John Gruden is 63. Ed McCaffrey, 58. Christian Leitner is 57. So's Don Wahlberg. Jim Courier, 56. Jorge Posada is 55. And Dustin Pedroia is 53 years old today.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What do you got, Mark?
I kind of balked at the good, so I had to get it on the fly. And, you know, enough of these people from the north coming down and taking our money here in Florida. For the good today, we have a Florida man who went up north and won the Michigan lottery. Yeah, there you go. Fantasy 5 ticket. Bought it in Whitehall. It's north of Muskegon. We used to refer to Muskegon as the mistake on the lake. I think it's a lot nicer than my hometown. Probably was a bad rap on Muskegon.
Muskegon's not great. I drive through it every time I go, quote unquote, up north, but it's not. I would agree. I think it's a touch better than Saginaw.
What isn't? For the bad, we go to Port Charlotte, where Orlando Guerrera decided to beat up a vehicle. Officers in Punta Gorda noticed a loud banging sound coming from a parking lot. When they went to investigate, they found the Ford Expedition with shattered glass and someone walking away from the vehicle. That someone was Orlando Guerrera. He was holding an aluminum bat. They asked him what happened. He said he didn't know and was attacked. He then told officers he's been hit by a baseball bat, and the attacker was driving a Ford Expedition. Then he changed his story and said he was going to sell someone a chain, and then he changed his story again, and a fight broke out. Anyhow, he was taken to the hospital, and the officers noticed that the Expedition took the worst of wear from the bat. Finally, the ugly. We go to Leesburg, Florida, where Trey DeClote was arrested after police received a call from Trey's neighbor. Apparently, he entered their home without permission, and he attacked them. But he didn't attack them by throwing fists, a baseball bat, or, hell, a machete. We've all had that in there. Apparently, he was irate when he entered the home without asking, and he was holding dog feces in his hand. He began yelling at the couple before throwing the dog poo at the couple, hitting the husband with the poo.
My question is, why was it in his hand?
He had picked it up in his yard, and there was a little fight between neighbors over where the dog was dropping a deuce. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, August the 17th. Then it's brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department, offering great pay, great jobs, overtime. All information can be found capecops.com, capecops.com. We've got the Reds and Cardinals with a double dip today. They get started this afternoon in Cincinnati. Rays hosting the Orioles, trying to get back on the winning track. Marlins are in Philadelphia, taking on the Phillies. Sanchez on the mound for Philadelphia. Junk for the Marlins. McClanahan, by the way, pitching for the Rays today. Tigers and Pirates at PNC in Pittsburgh. First to three there. Padres and Mets. Mets have been playing great. Padres have important games here. Interesting series. Diamondbacks are in Boston. Two teams trying to solidify their playoff spot. So a good series there. Braves and Twins. Twinkies trying to stay relevant in the American League against the first place Braves. Athletics and Royals in a meaningless series. They battle in Chicago. White Sox and Cubbies in the north side at the friendly confines. And the Dodgers are in Colorado to take on the Rockies. So that's what's going on today in the world of baseball. We have no Monday night football. In fact, we don't have, I don't know if there is a Monday night game. They don't do any Monday night games in preseason. So we'll start again on Thursday with the preseason. They keep working on the golf playoffs will continue as Scheffler won and looked great. Little hometown note for those of you that pay attention. George McNeil on the senior tour had a nice day yesterday. Ended up, I think he was T4 when it was all said and done. So he had another good week. He's had a hell of a rookie season on the Champions Tour. 50 has been good to Mr. McNeil. So he trying to finish that off. They go way late. That's the golf season for the PGA ends here in a couple of weeks. The seniors go, I think, into November before that's done. They're kind of on the similar schedule to what golf used to be. So that keeps going on and on and on. I know you're a big tennis guy. The U.S. Open coming up is in a couple of weeks, and everybody's hurt heading into it. Sinner's hurt. Alcaraz has been hurt. So, I mean, I know you like the U.S. Open. I don't have the same love of tennis I once did. But the stars are not healthy, and that's not good for any sport.
Nope, not at all. And that was the case earlier this season. I don't remember if it was Wimbledon.
Yeah, Wimbledon and the French.
Alcaraz didn't play either. And I remember talking about Zverev. That was his best chance to win a major, and he couldn't beat Sinner at the time. Now Sinner's back out again. But, Mark, just a little hometown note again, or home market note, I should say. Home state note. The Miami Dolphins have activated Chris Bell, their third-round wide receiver. And for a team who is going to need something to root for or need something to look, watch for this year, your young wide receiver who you're putting some eggs in their basket, that's kind of a big deal for Dolphins fans, as big of a deal as it could be. But that just happened a half hour ago.
So they are playing for next year already. And I know that, people, well, they are. I'm sorry. I mean,
I know.
We have to find out. We have Achane, who's good. We got a couple linemen that are good. We got a quarterback we don't know about. So if I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, my whole year is can Malik Willis play? And even if we only win 3 or 4 games, because if he can play and he looks like the guy, because he's only there 2 years, does that make them change their mind draft day and they go after Jeremiah Smith instead of a quarterback? That's to me, I hate to say it, but as we go into the season, it's will they draft first, second, third? I mean, those are the questions I have for the Dolphins. Whereas we've spent a lot of the show talking Jags and Bucks, pressure for different reasons. Bowles and company have to make the playoffs, or I think Bowles is out of a job, and I just want to see consistency out of the Jags. And I have no idea. Like you're a little higher on Indianapolis than I am. I think Houston's the team to beat in that division. But can the Jags, after winning 13 last year, be a double-digit win team and don't fall back, don't regress to the mean, stay up near the top? Tuesday edition of Miller and Moulton tomorrow. Trent, have yourself a good day. You got through one day. We have a moratorium on Trent talking about Michigan sports all week. He's 1 for 1, everybody. Congratulations, you did it.
Don't look now. 1 for 1.
We'll continue on with the NFC East tomorrow. A reminder, you can vote on the poll question all day. More pressure. Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everyone. We'll be back at it bright and early tomorrow morning. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening.
Buying or selling a home? Put a local expert to work for you. I'm Mark Miller with McWilliams Buckley, and I believe real estate is about more than transactions. It's about helping people make the right move, from pricing your home to negotiating the best deal. I'll be with you every step of the way. Call or text me today, 239-425-5582. That's 239-425-5582. Experience, local knowledge, and a personal difference. That's what I'll bring to the table.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real. If you're a business who targets men, please know there is no better and more economical way to reach your target audience than us at Miller & Moulton. So let us help you make money. You can reach out to Mark at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton on X, or text us at 21,000. We have a proven product, a good reputation, and lots of quality segments that we can attach your company's name to. Miller and Moulton, we're like that old pizza box. You've had the rest, now try the best. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Thanks, everyone.